Chapter 353. The fire crow galloped, wildly flying towards the flame mountain. The closer it got to the flame mountain, the more monstrous the heat became. It was difficult to move, and the scorching heat nearly roasted it. And at this time, the little golden crow was rolling around the flame mountain, rushing deep into the mountain. The temperature inside could burn a quasi-emperor to death, but it was still happily rolling around, constantly swallowing flame essences. The flames deep within the flame mountain formed fire dragons that shot into the sky. The temperature outside could burn a quasi-emperor to death, so no one knew what the temperature inside was like. The 8th grade flame essences seemed to have a life of their own. The deeper they went, the more advanced they became. The faster the little golden crow grew. The temperature deep within melted the iron mountain. Some 9th grade flame essences drifted out, but there were so few that the little golden crow normally wouldn't be able to find them. Suddenly, a small group of 9th grade flame essences drifted in front of the little golden crow. It was extremely fast, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. A 9th grade flame essence. The little golden crow was overjoyed. To it, a small amount of a 9th grade flame essence was an absolute tonic. But if there was a large amount, it was enough to kill it. It was just like 9th grade emperor level blood essence. If there was only a trace of blood essence, Yi Qinghan could use it, and it was also a great lucky chance. But if there was a single drop of blood essence, the energy within would instantly explode his mortal body. Woo, little flame essence, don't run. The little golden crow galloped around, wanting to catch the 9th grade flame essence. The center of the flame mountain was swept up by them. Endless flames covered the sky, and the sound of heat waves shook the world for 1,000 miles. Only the little golden crow could live in such an environment. Besides it, there was absolutely no other creature. The 9th grade flame essence seemed to be a real creature with its own thoughts. It didn't want to be caught by the little golden crow, so it frantically fled. But no matter how it tried, it couldn't escape the little golden crow's shackles. The distance between them became smaller and smaller. The flame essence emitted a sharp screech, incomparably ruthless. Whoosh, 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 the little golden crow swooped down, but couldn't catch the flame essence. It was a bit unhappy, but then it erupted with speed once more and chased after it. Chasing and chasing, the little golden crow was burning with anger. After chasing for an entire hour, it still couldn't catch up. It couldn't help but roar. It sucked in a mouthful of fire elements, and its body constantly grew. It was like a giant sun, and countless flame essences rushed towards it. Hiss, 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 the 9th grade flame spirit roared in panic and rage. It struggled wildly, but although it could defy the heavens, it couldn't defy the golden crow. It was constantly torn apart by the golden crow, and was sent flying backwards towards the little golden crow. Whoosh! The little golden crow opened its small mouth and directly sucked on the 9th grade flame essence. Then, it fled to the periphery. The flame essence inside had been stirred up by the little golden crow, and the temperature was frighteningly high. Even the little golden crow couldn't stand it, causing the temperature outside to rise. The fire crow let out a blood-curdling screech as it was sent flying. Its face was filled with shock, and it no longer dared to approach the flame mountain. The little golden crow sensed the aura of the fire crow and flew out of the mountain of flames. It looked at the fire crow curiously, as if it had not forgotten. It said, "Aren't you the little fire crow by my brother's side? Where's my brother?" Fire crow almost coughed up a mouthful of blood, but he forced himself to endure and said in a low voice, "Your big brother and master are in danger. Supreme God, please help and save them." "How dare you? Who dares to hurt my brother? Which bastard is it? Take me to him." The little golden crow roared. "He is a great emperor who has yet to confirm his Tao. He is only half a step away from obtaining the recognition of the heavens and earth. After crossing the great emperor tribulation, he will be able to successfully confirm his Tao and become a great emperor. Your brother wants you to sneak attack him from the side." The fire crow was incomparably respectful. It was shocked speechless by the aura of the little golden crow. "Enough nonsense. Take me to them." The little golden crow angrily said. The ghost emperor had a thoughtful look. He felt that Yi Qinghan really couldn't cause any big waves. He was blindly confident in himself, so he didn't say anything else. He thought to himself, if I can't find the divine lotus, I'll torture him to death. Take me there. There are only a few days left. If you can't find the divine lotus, humph. Yi Qinghan shrugged his shoulders and stepped towards the blazing mountain. His speed was getting faster and faster. Half a day later, Yi Qinghan brought the Ghost Emperor to the place where the iron trees were cut down. The deeper they went, the more cautious the Ghost Emperor became. He was especially sensitive to the fire and thunder origins. How could ghost arts be compared to the righteous fire or thunder origins? As long as he didn't confirm his Tao, the fire origin would be his weakness. Stop, brat, you're playing with me. The Ghost Emperor eerily shouted. Yi Qinghan sneered. Instead of retreating, he directly pounced on the Ghost Emperor and slashed at him with his saber. Boom. The Ghost Emperor was enraged. He smashed a fist at Zhong Kuang. Instantly, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. His aura overflowed and a sinister baleful aura spread thousands of miles away. Yi Qinghan felt that this saber strike was no different from striking an iron tree. His body flew backward and almost slipped out of Zhong Kuang's hand. Thud, thud, thud. The iron mountain was crushed by Yi Qinghan. His face was deathly pale. He didn't expect an emperor-level expert to be so powerful. Yi Qinghan, you've angered this emperor. Today, I'll let you die without a burial ground. The Ghost Emperor roared. His jet-black claws tore through the void. Even the iron mountain was crushed by his claw. Humph. You and I will never rest until one of us is dead. Do you think I will bring you to the real divine lotus treasured land? Yi Qinghan snorted coldly. His aura surged as he wanted to fight the Ghost Emperor to the death. Kikik, this is the blazing mountain. Idiot, it's enough to suppress your Ghost Emperor aura. It'll be good if you have 30% to 50% of your combat strength. The parrot sneered. The Ghost Emperor's face was ashen. He had been played by Yi Qinghan and the parrot time and time again. No wonder that group of people warned him. Now that he thought about it, his head must have been scratched by the parrot. That's why he trusted it so much. 30% of my strength is enough to kill you all. The Ghost Emperor roared. He controlled the surrounding space and sealed off Yi Qinghan's escape route. He relied on his physical strength and punched at Yi Qinghan's body. 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon Art, 9 Heavenly Dragon Style. Yi Qinghan hadn't used this move for a long time. The golden body transformed into a dragon and drew out the fire essence from thousands of miles away. The temperature here became unbearably hot and terrifying. Hoo hoo hoo, the golden dragon coiled around the sky and tore at the earth crazily. Even the Iron Mountain was about to be uprooted. The Ghost Emperor was disdainful. Not only did he not resist the tearing force, he stomped his foot and frantically attacked the vortex. He wanted to fight Yi Qinghan head-on. Boom! The sinister iron fist instantly shattered the heavens and attacked the dragon's head. He wanted to kill Yi Qinghan on the spot. The dragon's head swooped down and roared. Its aura surged for thousands of miles. The Ghost Emperor suddenly felt as if the sky had collapsed. He couldn't move an inch. His iron fist was shattered and his emperor blood burned the sky. What? The divine bird stood on the dragon's head and opened the jade bottle. Once the 8th grade fire essence came out, it burned everything. The flames poured down on the Ghost Emperor. Why aren't you dying yet? Wah wah wah. The flames burned the sky, burning Yi Qinghan's golden dragon. Its mournful roar enraged the heavenly dragon even more and it crazily pressed down on the Ghost Emperor. Boom! The Ghost Emperor was knocked into the Iron Mountain. The corners of his clothes were ignited by the 8th grade flames and instantly engulfed the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor immediately wailed and howled. He rushed into the distance and rolled on the ground, trying to extinguish the flames. The ghostly energy and death energy were burned, and his strength was instantly reduced by more than half. The mournful roar was deafening. Yi Qinghan returned to his body and bathed in a river of flames. His Origin Dao body and Azure Dragon body erupted at the same time. His vitality was constantly being burned as he crazily attacked the Ghost Emperor. Heavy Berserk Heaven Punishing Style. What? Yi Qinghan grasped his saber and dropped down from the sky. The Iron Mountain collapsed. His divine might was vast and mighty, tyrannical and fierce. The Ghost Emperor was battered and exhausted. He constantly rolled and slapped around, finally managing to extinguish the 8th grade flames on his body. Before he could gather strength, Yi Qinghan rushed over with flames wrapped around his body. He hurriedly punched out at Berserk. Bang! Berserk and the Iron Fist collided. Their auras surged into the galaxy. Yi Qinghan was sent flying and the Ghost Emperor was also sent flying. They tumbled through the mountains, their heads bleeding. But the Ghost Emperor didn't notice that a cold light had suddenly shot out from Yi Qinghan's body. Whoosh! The multicolored snake opened its fangs and ruthlessly bit down on the Ghost Emperor's abdomen. Its body constantly coiled around his body, its speed reaching the extreme. It was just like how it had dealt with the god-slaying eagle. The Ghost Emperor miserably screamed. He frantically slapped his body, but instead of hitting the multicolored snake, he injured himself. The multicolored snake's fangs were indestructible. They constantly tore apart the Ghost Emperor's body. Poison shot into the Ghost Emperor's body. His combat strength was suppressed to less than 30%. Yi Qinghan might have a 7th grade fire origin, but an 8th grade fire origin was still an 8th grade fire origin. His Dao body was burned until his skin and flesh were lacerated. Even the parrot could feel the arrival of death. It desperately absorbed a portion of the flames, hoping to relieve some of the pressure on Yi Qinghan. But all of this was insignificant. Yi Qinghan had lost the multicolored snake's support. His cultivation realm had dropped significantly. At this moment he couldn't care less. He only wanted to kill the Ghost Emperor. While the Ghost Emperor was constantly attacking the multicolored snake, he brandished his saber and attacked again. Bang! Bang! After slashing out more than 10 times, the Iron Mountain collapsed and his Dao body was burned. Finally, he simply gave up on defense and allowed the 8th grade flames to burn him. He took out his divine bow and condensed his quintessential essence into a massive fire arrow. He drew the bow and drew it into a full moon. An arrow broke through heaven and earth, piercing through the Ghost Emperor's body. Bang! The Ghost Emperor's body was sent flying 1,000 meters away by the fire arrow and crashed into an iron mountain. The Ghost Emperor's body was almost torn apart, but at the last moment he managed to grab hold of the multicolored snake and ruthlessly flung it onto the iron mountain. The multicolored snake spat out a mouthful of essence blood and almost fainted. It immediately escaped from the Ghost Emperor. At this moment, the Ghost Emperor was half dead. The fire elements here were too dense and suppressed 80% of his strength. After being continuously attacked by Yi Qinghan, his injuries worsened. The multicolored snake's venom attacked him until his face turned purple. Cough, cough. The Ghost Emperor coughed out blood and angrily glared at Yi Qinghan. He saw that Yi Qinghan was like a madman who didn't care about the flames on his body and only wanted to kill him. The Ghost Emperor couldn't help but grin cruelly. Kid, I have disappointed you. This emperor wants to see how miserable you look when you are burned alive by the flames. Yi Qinghan's face was distorted. The 8th grade flames were almost burning his soul spirit. The pain was unbearable. The divine martial imperial code was awakened at the crucial moment. The emperor's might overflowed and kept suppressing the flames while flipping the pages. Refine your Dao body. The divine martial imperial code reminded Yi Qinghan, but Yi Qinghan didn't want to refine his physical body now. He only wanted to take the opportunity to kill the Ghost Emperor. Screech! The god-slaying eagle took the initiative to break away from Yi Qinghan and directly pounced on the Ghost Emperor, hoping to buy some time for Yi Qinghan. The multicolored snake had no choice but to pounce on the Ghost Emperor. Chapter 354. What? The parrot also spat out a mouthful of flames and surrounded the Ghost Emperor from 3 sides. However, the difference in strength between them and the Ghost Emperor was too great. Even if he only had 10% of his strength, it was not something they could contend against. Boom! The Ghost Emperor roared and smashed the void with his palm. It swept out for thousands of miles and sent the 3 divine beasts flying. However, the god-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake rushed over again and tangled with the Ghost Emperor like unkillable cockroaches. Especially the multicolored snake, its speed was too fast. It moved like lightning and continuously attacked. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on the ground. He was doing his best to temper his body. Obviously, he did not want to perish together with the Ghost Emperor. Without the armor of the 3 divine beasts, his realm instantly fell to the 9th layer of the Immortal Gate. Flames tore through his body and rampaged. If not for the 7th grade fire source in his body, even his vitality would have been ignited. The God Martial Arts canon continuously suppressed the 8th grade flame essence. Yi Qinghan had a chance to catch his breath and condense his Dao body. New flesh appeared on the Azure Dragon body. It looked fresh and tender but was actually incomparably tyrannical. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon blood boiled and the wood source frantically revolved. It mobilized vitality and blood cells to increase Yi Qinghan's vitality and repair his injured body. At this moment, the little golden crow arrived. Its entire body was dark gold like a small scorching sun. It was recognized by the Ghost Emperor as soon as it appeared. Little golden crow? The Ghost Emperor was not alarmed but delighted. He wanted to conquer the golden crow. As long as the golden crow recognized him as its master, the fire source would no longer suppress his sinister ghost energy. He would be flawless and would be invincible in this world. You dare bully my brother? The little golden crow roared and glared at the Ghost Emperor. Your brother? Who's your brother? The Ghost Emperor was stunned. Was there another golden crow? The parrot did not dare to let the Ghost Emperor know that it had tricked the little golden crow. If it told the truth, the little golden crow would not help it and would chase it for 100,000 miles. Little golden crow. Brother was beaten so miserably. Hurry up and kill this bastard for me. The parrot was miserable and battered. Its white fur had turned blood red. The little golden crow was immediately enraged. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the Ghost Emperor and spat out a huge flame. This was the 9th grade flame essence that he had just obtained. He hadn't had time to refine it yet. The Ghost Emperor was horrified. He never thought that such a small little golden crow would actually possess a 9th grade flame essence. He didn't have time to explain to the little golden crow that the spirit-devouring divine hawk wasn't its older brother. A 9th grade flame was terrifying, and it instantly submerged the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor's cries shook the heavens and earth. The heavens and earth grieved as they wept. Whoosh, 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 the Ghost Emperor rolled and crawled as he roared incessantly. He rushed into the distance, wanting to escape from this place, but the flames on his body would follow him wherever he went. Even the Iron Mountains were set aflame, and the disaster spread for thousands of li. Moreover, it was rapidly expanding. Brother, kill him. Don't let him live. He actually dared to humiliate my golden crow divine race. The parrot was furious. It had been beaten miserably today and hated the Ghost Emperor to the bone. He's dead for sure. He's been ignited by a 9th grade flame essence. Wherever he goes, he'll burn. Let's see where he can run. The little golden crow proudly snorted and curled its lips. It was quite regretful that it had just obtained a 9th grade flame essence. Brother, all thanks to you. Otherwise, I would have died here today. If it weren't for the fact that I thought of my brother living alone in this world with no one to take care of him, I would have given up struggling long ago. The parrot's voice was extremely sincere, causing one to shed silent tears. If it weren't for the fact that the divine beasts understood him, they would have been moved by him. Brother, I came late and almost killed you. The little golden crow was filled with regret, causing one to be unable to restrain a smile. The god-slaying eagle didn't want to look at the parrot anymore. This bird was too lowly and didn't know what face was. The multicolored snake was powerless. It hissed and flicked its forked tongue as it fell into a deep sleep. The god-slaying eagle also stood quietly to the side, waiting for Yi Qinghan to wake up. The parrot was even more nervous. No one was more afraid of death than it was. Master, you must endure this. I haven't married and had children yet. I don't want to die prematurely. I'm the only divine bird left. The parrot trembled as it felt Yi Qinghan's life force continuously weakening. It spoke to itself weakly. Yi Qinghan's entire body was like a red-hot soldering iron. It was boiling hot and emitted green smoke. The flames burned his flesh, causing old flesh to die and new flesh to be born. It was incessantly burned and scattered again. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. It was terrifying beyond compare. This cycle repeated over and over again. Yi Qinghan's body was the first to enter the 8th grade of the divine martial realm. His muscles had reached perfection, and with a slight movement he could crush a powerhouse of the same level to death. However, his soul realm was still stuck at the 9th grade of the immortal realm. Hua, Yi Qinghan stood up and walked directly towards the blazing mountain. The divine bird trembled and shouted, "Master, don't court death. I don't want to die yet." 1,000 miles away, a great fire was burning. The little golden crow chased after it to extinguish the fire. The ghost emperor wailed and howled along the way. His body was burned to a crisp. Dense, baleful aura and ghostly qi constantly attacked the flames. However, the power released by a 9th grade flame essence was still of the 9th grade. If one hadn't reached the Tao realm, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. The ghost emperor was truly crying. He desperately rolled and crawled. After rushing out of the eastern wasteland, he went straight to the eastern sea. Even if he could survive this battle, he would only have a small portion of his life left. He wouldn't be able to recover without a few hundred years. Boom! The ghost emperor crossed 100,000 miles and rushed to the eastern sea. He dove into the sea, and even the seawater was burned. The gray sea was boiled dry. The ghost emperor rushed deeper and deeper, and the sea became a sea of fire. In the sovereign domain, all the heroes were still waiting. The ghost emperor was the only person who could control the situation. As long as he returned, the myriad spirits would lose. If he didn't return, the humans would have the greatest chance of winning. The humans didn't want to start a war. Most of the younger generation were from immortal sects and divine martial sections. They had a lot of room for growth. Moreover, both the myriad races and humans had suffered great losses during this period of time. They wanted to recuperate for a period of time, but the dead spirits couldn't wait. They were outside, and the order of the world was rapidly destroying their vitality. They could wait for at most half a month. If the ghost emperor didn't return, they would definitely counterattack. I don't know if Qinghan can delay the ghost emperor, and for how long. Di Shang grew anxious. He was worried about letting someone from the Immortal Gate realm stall a martial emperor expert. Even if that martial emperor hadn't proven his Tao yet, he was still a martial emperor. He could kill 10 martial emperors with a single slap. His destiny is profound. He shouldn't die. As for how long he can delay the ghost emperor, that will depend on the will of the heavens. Great Emperor Fu Su was indifferent. At this moment, his vitality was also disappearing at a ridiculous rate. He didn't have much time left to protect the human race. No one wanted to create a true great emperor more than him. Emperor Shang was a great emperor. The 6 Disasters Azure Dragon was a great emperor. Tianmu and Xinglua were also great emperors. However, without the recognition of the world, they weren't true great emperors. Their battle prowess was fundamentally different from a true peak great emperor. They could only delay a true half-crippled great emperor, but they couldn't kill him. The human race had no chance of recovering. Looking down from the void, the sovereign domain was divided into 3 parts. In order to survive, almost all the hidden great clans moved. Their subordinate clans were all mobilized and stationed in the north of the sovereign domain. The dead spirits occupied the west. Not even a blade of grass grew, and the atmosphere was lifeless. Most of the sovereign domain was still in the hands of the humans. However, the myriad races' territories were occupied by the dead spirits. Countless creatures died tragically, and the trees withered. They began to devour vitality to heal their wounded bodies. Fu Su took a deep breath. His willpower was superb, and his heart was like a boulder. He didn't want to hurt anyone. At this moment, vitality was extremely tempting to him. Yen Yunbei, Long Qiong, Chitin Monkey King, Yang Zhan, each of you take a group of people to the myriad races' territories to kill the dead spirits. Now there's one less to kill. However, you have to pay attention to your own safety. Retreat after killing them. Don't stay for too long. Fu Su reminded in a low voice. Yes, sir. The 5 great experts received the order and left. In the remnant sect, Tianmu and Xingluo looked at Kanyang and Jikan and said, the 2 of you act alone. Don't get entangled. Once you succeed, leave. Don't worry, their great emperors won't leave. At most, they'll send great emperors to help. Shinkei, you go too. All the great factions sent out their top-tier experts to charge into the myriad races' territories. Emperor Shang looked at the remnant sect and took a deep breath. He said, Xia Ziluo, Jian Chenxue, Gu Qingyu, Zi Tian, Sikong Qingjun, Nye Tian, Zhan Chuanxiu, Muyu, Tianchen, each of you protect a small group and charge into the territory. This is the best time to train. Don't get entangled. Kill them cleanly. Don't give them a chance. Sir, little Tian, you go too. Follow your big brother Qingyu. Be obedient and don't cause trouble. Emperor Shang looked at the half-grown Di Longtian. He didn't want to hide in the back and pushed him out. Di Longtian looked excited and charged out with the others. In the eternal cloud sky Holy Land, Yi Linshin's face was cold. He pulled out his sharp sword and lightly wiped it a few times. Then, he entered the darkness with his sword and entered the territory of the hidden great clans. This time, his goal was to deal with the traitors. This time, he wanted to exterminate the Qilin Tiger clan. Everyone was moving. This era was the era of true great emperors. Only those who could stand out would be the candidates to prove their Dao. Only those who could survive until the end would be able to prove their Dao. There were so many geniuses. After tomorrow, who knew how many would be left? Yen Yunbei quietly approached the myriad races' territories. The stars moved and the space didn't fluctuate at all. Although he couldn't fly, it didn't affect his battle prowess. Instead, it made him even more powerful. A powerful fake great emperor was desperately absorbing vitality. The vitality in the surroundings dissipated. The 10,000-year-old trees withered instantly. The mountains and rivers flowed in reverse. With the false emperor at the center, there were many other divine martial realm undead spirits. They were in groups of 10, and each group had a false emperor overseeing it. Every 100 small groups had a quasi-emperor undead spirit. They swept through the territories of the 10,000 races, and countless living beings died tragically. The little golden pangolin felt danger and tried to escape. However, it was too young and its realm was limited. At this moment, it was suppressed in a small valley. It could only try to escape by burrowing into the mountain rocks. Sikong Qingjun was leading his team and Jin Yen here. They were staring at a great perfection divine martial realm expert. It was difficult to kill a great perfection divine martial realm expert with 7 fake great perfection divine martial realm experts. However, it wasn't impossible. 300 miles, 30 miles, the great perfection divine martial realm undead spirit didn't notice them. It was still absorbing vitality. Even the creatures underground couldn't escape from it. The way these undead spirits absorbed vitality was very strange. No one could escape unless their battle prowess surpassed it. The pangolin curled up in the mountain. The death chi was slowly approaching. Chapter 355. Yi Qinghan approached the flaming mountain alone, closing in on the flames step by step. The immortal sect robe on his body instantly turned to dust. Yi Qinghan stepped into the flaming mountain and bathed in the flames. His black hair was entwined with fire dragons, and his true essence was protecting him. His entire body was radiating with golden light. His origin Dao body was fully activated, and he was constantly being tempered. He was even stronger than a divine martial Dao soldier. Specks of light sprinkled on his divine body, and Yi Qinghan devoured all the essence. At this moment, his eyes were like the scorching sun, and flames were burning in his deep eyes. His aura was getting stronger and stronger, and every pattern on the azure dragon body could be seen clearly. Yi Qinghan's 10 fingers reached into the sky, and he kept walking towards the depths. His soul spirit was highly concentrated, and his true essence wrapped around his divine body. He was constantly being tempered, and the blood on the surface of his body was boiling. Yi Qinghan stared angrily at the depths, but he was not alarmed. Finally, he sat cross-legged in the flames, and his true essence was quickly being consumed. His physical body was also becoming stronger. In the end, he simply gave up on using his true essence to protect his body and allowed the flames to burn him. The metal origin protected his body, and the wood origin repaired his body. The water dragon formed by the profound meaning of the water origin coiled around his organs. The fire origin attracted the fire element, and he only lacked the earth element to form the 5 elements Tao body. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon blood was like 10,000 galloping horses, and the temperature was extremely high. The impurities in his body were wiped out one by one, and just as they were expelled, they were burned into nothingness by the flames. The purity of the dragon blood in his body was also increasing, and he was advancing from the beginner rank 8 to the middle rank 8. Once he entered the middle rank 8, his combat power would increase by several folds. Just the advantage of the Azure Dragon body alone would not lose to a superclass like Long Qiong. The fire crows did not dare to get too close to the flaming mountain. Only the little golden crow rushed in and ran around Yi Qinghan happily, raising the surrounding temperature by several folds. Yi Qinghan suddenly felt the pressure increase, but he did not stop it. His skin began to crack, and his wood origin became active again. With such tempering, not only was his physical body rapidly strengthening, but his origin was also becoming purer and stronger. It's over. This divine bird's realm has been left behind by Master. The parrot was dejected. It watched Yi Qinghan become stronger and stronger, and said seriously, "No. As a divine bird, I am not afraid of pain. I want to go in. Unleash my divine phoenix bloodline." Whoosh! The little parrot flapped its wings and rushed in. Screech! The god-slaying eagle followed closely behind. It was set ablaze by the fire and let out a shrill cry. Its huge wings stirred up flames as it tried to transform into a divine phoenix soaring in the sky. The fire crow did not dare to be as ferocious as the golden crow. It only dared to swallow the drifting flame essence in the periphery. Moreover, it only dared to do so with the little golden crow's permission. The ranks of the divine beast clan were extremely terrifying. It was only because of the parrot that Yi Qinghan, the god-slaying hawk, and the fire crow had the opportunity to cultivate in the periphery of the mountain of flames. Otherwise, the little golden crow would have blown them away without a trace. Unfortunately, the mottled snake was not fated to be here. Snakes were of the Yin attribute, so in this place, its strength was greatly suppressed. Now that it was seriously injured, it could only retreat into the distance alone. It found the valley where the divine lotus resided and sat by the lakeside to recover from its injuries. A layer of the snake's skin had shrunk. This was not the time for it to evolve. Unfortunately, it had been seriously injured and had no choice but to evolve. At this moment, its flesh was badly mangled. It swam towards the middle of the lake tentatively, afraid of being rejected by the divine lotus. Both the divine lotus and the mottled snake had spirituality. As long as there was no enmity between them, they would only protect each other and rely on each other. The mottled snake swam on the surface of the water. The spiritual energy in the surroundings desperately drilled into its body. A layer of faint white mist rose from the surface of the lake, all caused by the liquefaction of spiritual energy. There were many lotus flowers on the surface of the lake. At this moment, they were all in full bloom, surrounding the huge divine lotus. It was as if thousands of birds were paying homage to the phoenix. The mottled snake came near the divine lotus and tentatively circled around the golden lotus, occupying the lotus leaf. The divine lotus did not reject it and quietly allowed it to recover from its injuries. It was like a loving mother as it swayed its little lotus leaf. Many lotus seeds gushed out from the bottom of the lake to provide it with energy. The mottled snake was very moved. It flicked its tongue and swallowed a few lotus seeds before falling into a deep sleep. However, the energy in its body was rapidly rising. A debt of gratitude created a legend. Today's cause became the result of another day's cause. In the depths of the blazing mountain, Yi Qinghan stood up and formed a seal with his palms. He was rapidly cultivating the prairie spark technique. The vast fire element provided convenience for him. Drops of fire element quickly spread thousands of miles. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The fire element was controlled by Yi Qinghan. It formed into a brilliance that shot into Yi Qinghan's body. The space between his brows shone with golden light. His divine aura was oppressive as if he was the god of fire. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. After an unknown period of time, the god-slaying eagle finally adapted to the temperature here. It breathed in and out flames. Its rank 8 bloodline was highly refined. In the end, the little golden crow even rewarded it with a drop of fresh blood, making the god-slaying eagle excited. Screech! The god-slaying eagle breathed out a mouthful of red clouds, which transformed into a roaring divine phoenix. It spread its wings and released a dense divine light. It swept up a fire dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long. Its wings had become iron feathers and its bones were clanging as it soared within the blazing mountain. After a long period of cultivation, the fire crow was finally able to enter the flames. Its speed of improvement was very fast. It breathed in and out fire essence. If it was lucky, it could even evolve into a real golden crow. Yi Qinghan was still cultivating tirelessly. The secret technique that he had seen that woman cultivate on the deserted island also developed at this moment. It formed another secret technique, the crimson drill fist. His fist was like a crimson drill snake coming out of its hole. It was as fast as lightning, making it impossible for people to dodge. Yi Qinghan only stopped cultivating after a whole month. His cultivation level was close to the divine martial realm, but his physical strength had already reached the peak of the early-stage divine martial realm. His spiritual power had also improved by leaps and bounds. A wisp of his will could change the will of the flames, but it could not change the will of the blazing mountain. This was the holy land of the golden crow divine bird. It was the will and order that the golden crow the arch had established. If one's cultivation level did not surpass the golden crow thearchas, it was impossible to change the will at all. Yi Qinghan's order Dao had entered the initial stage, but it was not of any use here. Bang! Yi Qinghan mobilized his true essence to break through to the divine martial realm. The vast true essence rampaged all the way, shattering the bottleneck and officially stepping into the early-stage divine martial realm. As soon as Yi Qinghan entered the early-stage divine martial realm, he once again ventured 100 miles into the blazing mountain. He tempered his body and cultivated various secret techniques. In terms of cultivation level, he had finally caught up with the majority of the superclass masters. In terms of combat strength, he had far surpassed them. Little Golden Crow, can you give me some more 8th grade flame essence? I want to bring it back to save someone. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. No problem. I'll go into the central region and see if I can find some 9th grade flame essence. The little golden crow had been very dependent on the parrot these days. It really did treat the parrot as a family member and listened to almost everything it said. As soon as it heard Yi Qinghan's words, it immediately rushed towards the central region. The parrot had a smug look on its face as it laughed and ran to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It said proudly, "This divine bird has evolved and is getting closer and closer to the 9th grade bloodline." Kikik! Yi Qinghan smiled. Now that he had the 4 great beasts on him, once he fused with them, he would not be in such a sorry state when fighting the Ghost Emperor again. In the sovereign domain, the dead spirits finally could not wait any longer. They did not want to wait for the Ghost Emperor to return and began to launch probing attacks. However, they were all repelled by the human race. The people of the hidden wealthy families could only stand aside and restrain the experts of the endless universe. Yen Yunbei and the others led a group of juniors to wantonly kill the divine martial dead spirits. Many elites died, but their improvement was also very fast. More than half of the divine martial dead spirits were lost. There were less than 100 of the ancient massacre gods left. After 2 bloody battles, there were less than 100 of them left. Even the most tragic team only had 300 to 400 people left. The heavenly dragon's sacred dynasty was destroyed, and the imperial palace was occupied by the dead spirits. There were countless casualties. Xia Ziluo and Xia Qiue were furious. They rushed over to save people, but they were also implicated and suffered heavy injuries. If the Kuang sect did not save them in time, they might have died. Many of the outer disciples of the Kuang sect had also died. Some of the protectors and elders had also fallen. There were only a dozen left, but they had all broken through the divine martial realm. Even a junior like Lin Wutian had entered the 9th grade immortal gate. Di Longtian's improvement was the greatest. Not everyone could compete with such a monstrous physique. Even Gu Qingyu was ashamed of his inferiority. He attacked with divine powers and imperial secret techniques, many of which Di Shang did not know. They did not come from the killing god's world, but from the inherited secret techniques of the divine dragon. Late at night, a group of dead spirits made up of fake emperors approached the headquarters of the Kuang sect. The sect protection formation here was destroyed, but the bodies of Si Wuxie and Li Jiuchong were still frozen here. Great Emperor Su suddenly woke up and transmitted his voice to Gu Qingyu. Take them back to the Kuang sect. Gu Qingyu was stunned and his expression changed. Although Si Wuxie's origin was damaged, he could still recover. If he was killed, it would be a great loss for the human race. Let's go back to the Kuang sect. Wush, Gu Qingyu, Zitian, and the others took the lead and ran wildly. The ground was crushed. In the headquarters of the Kuang sect, memories surged in Si Wuxie's mind. The blood in his body began to flow slowly. The icebound technique could not stop his blood from flowing. There was a lotus seed spinning at high speed in his mind, emitting great Tao precepts and origin. Divine light filled the ice house. It was the same for Li Jiuchong. There was a golden lotus seed in both his and Si Wuxie's minds. It was put in by Yi Qinghan. It was the seed of the divine lotus that had just matured. Because of this lotus seed, they were reborn, especially Si Wuxie. The true power of the golden bloodline was stimulated. All the great Tao origins and precepts were revealed. He mobilized the inheritance of memories. It was as if the real Si Wuxie had descended from the heavens. Li Jiuchong was a late bloomer. The real opportunity erupted at this moment. His wisdom was awakened, his mind was clear, and his vitality returned quickly. Great Tao precepts and precepts of origin appeared in his mind. Secret techniques were ready to be used. The old hand quickly became flesh and blood. His fingertips trembled slightly. Perhaps it was because of the blood relationship. At this moment, little Li's qi and blood were burning. Her heartbeat accelerated. Her small hands involuntarily formed seals. Whoosh! Li Jiuchong suddenly woke up. His vitality erupted. His big hand shook, and the ice on his body broke. He sat up from the ice coffin. Golden light flashed. His realm was rising involuntarily. He broke through from the 2nd immortal realm to the 5th immortal realm. The divine lotus seed became smaller and smaller. It helped him break through to the 9th immortal realm. Boom! Si Wuxie's aura erupted. The ice coffin shattered. His whole body was shining with golden light. His eyes were wide open. Fire dragons swam in his pupils. Flames burst out. His golden hair fluttered behind him. The hot power of the bloodline melted all the ice and snow around him. Chapter 356. Within 1,000 miles of the Kuang sect, snow fluttered in the sky. The dead spirits moved forward silently. Si Wuxie's aura was restrained. His eyes were like cold stars as he looked at Li Jiuchong. At this moment, his majesty was monstrous, like an emperor. Li Jiuchong's heart trembled when he glared at him. Senior brother, there are dead spirits approaching. Before Si Wuxie went out, his divine sense locked onto the dead spirits hundreds of miles away. Yes, there's no one inside the Kuang sect. The formation has been shattered. It seems that we missed the battle. Li Jiuchong nodded. A hint of worry flashed in his eyes. He stepped out of the gate and came to the martial arts field of the Kuang sect. Si Wuxie followed closely behind. His aura was restrained, and his bloodline power was suppressed. His divine sense locked onto a large group of fake emperors. There were more than 30 fake emperors. They couldn't kill a quasi-emperor, but they could sweep through a region. The world has changed. The ability to fly has been restricted. The order of the great Tao has changed. Si Wuxie murmured. His eyes were serious. It was easy to deal with one fake emperor dead spirit, but it was unrealistic to deal with more than 30 of them. After all, he was only at the 9th level of the Immortal Gate. It's too late for us to leave now. The formation outside has been destroyed, but the inner sect's formation hasn't. Let's enter the inner sect and resist for a while. Maybe there's a chance, Li Jiuchong said in a deep voice. The 9th level of the Immortal Gate didn't go crazy. Escaping from death made them understand a lot. Sometimes, it was useless to fight head-on. A real battle between experts relied on comprehension and experience. The two retreated to the inner sect mountain and opened the sect's formation. Light shone brightly. Gu Qingyu and the others were still fighting in the territory of the 10,000 races. After receiving the message, they rushed to the human race's territory. In the end, because Di Longtian and the others weren't so fast, Gu Qingyu had to temporarily give up protecting them. Wutian Longtian, you guys protect each other. Don't attack the dead spirits above fake emperor level for the time being. I'm going to save your senior brother Wuxia. Whoosh! After Gu Qingyu finished speaking, he turned into a rainbow and rushed into the distance on the Tianwu battle sword. Muyu Tianqin and Nangong Qingyue also let little Meng Shi and Nangong Xiaobei stay. The two of them went hand in hand. Zi Tian rushed towards Kuang Zong alone, afraid that he would be a step too late. At this moment, Sikong Qingjun and the others were fighting against a warrior at the complete stage of the divine martial arts realm. The 7 of them worked together and forced their opponent to retreat. The mountains around them were razed to the ground. The golden jade thunder god's staff cut through the river, pierced through the sun and moon, and directly pierced into the opponent's heart. Boom! The warrior at the peak of the god martial realm roared in anger. He was unwilling to give up. He grabbed the rod with both hands and the golden jade thunder god rod suddenly exploded. The lightning was sharp, tearing apart the god body. His golden bones were shattered and his vitality was swallowed. Sikong Qingjun and the rest of the 7 masters worked together to impale the opponent's body into the mountain, nailing him to death. Let's go! Sikong Qingjun pulled out the thunder god rod and chose to retreat without hesitation. Jin Yan's cultivation was slightly weaker, so he walked the slowest. Suddenly, he discovered a small golden pangolin rushing out from the depths of the mountain. It was dispirited, and he was instantly shocked. Look, what is this? Its bloodline power is so strong that it could avoid being swallowed by a dead spirit at the complete stage of the divine martial realm. Sikong Qingjun and the others turned around and looked at the small pangolin. They frowned slightly and suddenly thought of the great Emperor Pangolin who died a few years ago. Perhaps it was because of this. He immediately said, "Take it, let's go back to the Kuang sect." Jin Yan hugged the small pangolin, who was surrounded by a deathly aura, and rushed back with the others to help the Kuang sect. In the territory of the hidden wealthy families, the Tiger Qilin clan had directly allied with the Yinyang school in order to fight against the Kuang sect. Their boundary emperor had not died, so they did not lose much power and could be considered a powerful force. The Tiger Qilin hated Yi Qinghan to the core, but now he did not have much confidence to fight against the Kuang sect. Any of the other party's protectors could fight against him, and some elders could tear him apart, such as Gu Qingyu, Zi Tian, Mu Yu, and Tianqin. They could all kill him. His Dao heart had already been shattered, and it was already good enough for him to become a boundary emperor. At this moment, the Tiger Qilin looked at the big picture and wished that the dead spirits could quickly kill the human race. Unfortunately, the dead spirits did not dare to kill the endless universe on a large scale. After all, the number of emperor-level masters in the endless universe was slightly higher. Damn the Ghost Emperor, he's a complete idiot. He trusted Yi Qinghan so much and left with him just like that. The Tiger Qilin roared, somewhat unwilling to give up. Yi Qinghan is also bold and presumptuous. He actually managed to delay the Ghost Emperor for a month. I really don't know how the Ghost Emperor will torture him when he wakes up. Yin Yang Maple suddenly grinned and sneered. What they did not know was that the Ghost Emperor could not even protect himself now. Not to mention torturing Yi Qinghan, he was clearly being tortured by Yi Qinghan. At this moment, the Ghost Emperor had ignited the entire East Sea. Countless ferocious beasts at the bottom of the sea rolled over and were directly killed. The Ghost Emperor's soul rapidly descended, and countless resentful spirits at the bottom of the sea replenished part of his strength. They frantically rushed to the bottom of the sea. The cold of the bottom of the sea gradually suppressed the flames on the Ghost Emperor's body. The Ghost Emperor spurted out blood, and his face was full of regret and tears. Yi Qinghan, the next time we meet, I will make you regret being born into this world. In the territory of the hidden aristocrats, Yi Linshan sneaked into the Qilin Tiger clan's camp. A large number of experts and clansmen were lifeless, and their morale had dropped significantly. 3 false emperors and a quasi-emperor were currently in a discussion. What should our clan do? It's impossible to return to the myriad races now. The Azure Dragon clan will never agree. The myriad races are very cruel to traitors. The false Emperor Qilin Liang was indifferent. At this moment, he was somewhat regretful that he had chosen to ally with the hidden aristocrats. Who would have known that Di Shang was not dead and that the 6 disasters Azure Dragon had chosen to help the endless universe? The other false Emperor Qilin Tiger clan was furious. His fear of the future was no less than anyone else's. Don't worry, the people of the Yinyang 8 tribes are not panicking. As long as we follow the Yinyang family, even if the human race wants to take revenge, they will have to consider the retaliation of the Yinyang family's emperor-level experts. The Qilin Tiger clan's patriarch, Qilin Tianyu, sneered. Yi Linshan was in the Qilin Tiger clan's territory, but he stood in another space without alerting anyone. He had already unsheathed his sword and would not turn back until he saw blood. Target, Qilin Tianyu, the 3 false emperors, and the Emperor Qilin Tiger. Kill them and retreat. Yi Linshan was warning himself not to be greedy. Otherwise, he would have to die here today. He was an existence who could exchange thousands of blows with the 5th great emperor when he was young. Now that he had entered the divine martial realm, his combat strength had increased several times. Killing false emperors would definitely be a one-hit kill. Yi Linshan's plan was very clear. After killing the core of the Qilin Tiger clan, the Qilin Tiger clan would be crippled. Without any experts, the Yinyang 8 tribes would quickly give up on them. They might even forcefully take them in and demote them to slaves. Since ancient times, traitors had never had a good ending. After the 4 experts finished their discussion, they began to perform their duties and moved to the places they were guarding. With Qilin Tianyu as the center, there was a false emperor in 8,000 li. They guarded each other, forming a huge half-moon shape. Qilin Tianyu was the bowstring, wanting to shoot into the human race's territory. The corners of Yi Linshan's mouth curled up. He moved to the left and stared at Qilin Liang. Qilin Liang no longer had any hope in the current era. He was only a few hundred years away from the end of his lifespan. He simply began to enjoy himself, enjoying the beauties of the various races. He did not sense the approaching danger at all. Yi Linshan appeared in the courtyard where he was. He did not even disturb the spiritual qi. Like a ghost, his spatial laws had reached greater success. He was more terrifying than most boundary emperors. He disappeared again and reappeared in Qilin Liang's room. The room was in a mess. Torn clothes were everywhere. The sound of panting rose and fell. The cries of the fierce woman and the sound of being whipped were horrifying. Whoosh, who is it? Pucci. The sword was already at his throat. Qilin Liang's eyes were filled with shock. He turned to look at the person behind him. A handsome young man was standing there elegantly. The hand holding the sword shook. His true yuan destroyed Qilin Liang's vitality. His emperor body was wrapped in death qi and fell on the woman. The order of Qilin Liang's vitality was changed. There was no chance for him to recover. He did not even have time to warn his people. The woman was terrified. She looked at Yi Linshan and begged, "Senior, please save me." Yi Linshan shook his head slightly and said with a hoarse voice, "I'm sorry. In this chaotic world, mercy is cruelty to the endless universe. If I leave, you will only die more miserably. Let me send you on your way." Pucci. Before the woman could say another word, Yi Linshan's sword pierced through Qilin Liang's throat and into the woman's throat. He was killed instantly. Sometimes, killing was really a last resort. This woman was too beautiful and flirtatious. Unfortunately, she was born in the wrong era and was destined to be a sacrifice. Traitor, die. Yi Linshan left a line of words on the ground and left. He killed a fake emperor with a single sword strike without alerting anyone. Qilin Yaofeng was the second on the left. He was also a fake emperor. He was more cautious in order to prevent the human race or the myriad races from coming to kill traitors. He patrolled back and forth and surrounded the camp. Yi Linshan sneered. This kind of defense was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The night was as dark as ink. A man in black turned into a specter and snuck into the camp. His sharp sword was like charcoal, without any light. Qilin Yaofeng was cultivating in seclusion. The array around him was alternating. As long as someone came close and triggered the array, he would be awakened. Yi Linshan looked at the array and smiled. His consciousness turned into a wisp of spiritual energy and merged with the array. He passed through the array and entered the room. Qilin Yaofeng was sitting cross-legged on the bed. Suddenly his hair stood on end. He opened his eyes and saw a sharp sword turning into lightning. The sword passed through his eyes in an instant. He was so shocked that he could not make a sound. Hiss! The sword pierced through his head. His soul was instantly killed. The order of his physical body was changed. He turned into a pile of flesh and blood without any vitality. The bloody words were engraved on the wall. It was still the same 4 words. Traitor, what a shameful name. The endless universe would remember it for all eternity. Traitors were even more hateful than dead souls. Countless heroes died tragically in the forbidden grounds to protect them. Countless ancestors died in battle for them. However, they betrayed them and killed the endless universe. Unforgivable. Qilin Luojun, the great elder of the Qilin tiger tribe, was stationed at the peak of the Half-Moon Mountain. This person's cultivation was strong, second only to a quasi-emperor. He was the second strongest expert of the Qilin tiger tribe. At this moment he did not expect that the 2 experts on his left were already dead and that the assassin was approaching him. Chapter 357. Qilin Luojun was leading his trusted subordinates to build an impenetrable defense. They were surrounded by the Qilin clan. Yi Linshan was not in a hurry. After killing the great elder, he still had to kill the Qilin tiger and Qilin Tianyu. Clearly, he did not want to alert others. As time passed, the sky gradually brightened. Yi Linshan frowned and thought to himself, Qilin Liang's body will be found in 2 hours at most. I can't stay here for long. Perhaps the great elder's calamity had arrived. Just as Yi Linshan was unwilling to wait any longer, he handed the task of overseer to others and returned to the courtyard alone. Yi Linshan smirked and sneaked in. As soon as he reached the courtyard, Qilin Luojun seemed to have sensed something. He hurriedly turned around and found no one behind him. He shook his head slightly, thinking that he was overthinking. Just as he was about to return to the house, he felt a chill on his neck. Songhai wine. Yi Linshan's hands left the sword hilt and kept forming seals. He pressed them on Qilin Luojun's head. A huge ball of fire enveloped Qilin Luojun's body. Unfortunately, Qilin Luojun's throat was sealed and he couldn't make a sound. He looked at Yi Linshan's face in shock. He wanted to reach out and grab Yi Linshan, but his fingers were stiff and he couldn't move. The great emperor's body turned into a pile of ashes and scattered with the night wind, leaving behind a pile of bloody clothes and words. Yi Linshan sheathed his sword and left again. However, not long after he left, Qilin Luojun's body was discovered by the Qilin clan. For a moment, the Qilin clan was in chaos. Qilin Tianyu was furious and alerted the old monsters of the Yinyang school. Yi Linshan saw that he had no chance. He immediately fled 1,000 miles away and went straight to the human clan. The Qilin clan looked at the words beside the 3 fake emperors' bodies. Traitor Thai. What a sarcastic sentence. Most of the Qilin clan fell silent. That shame would be branded on their souls forever and could not be washed away. The Qilin clan was disunited. Many people were dissatisfied and doubted the decisions of Qilin Tianyu and Qilin Tiger. It was inevitable that the Qilin clan would fall apart. Outside the insane sect, more than 30 fake emperors approached. Seeing that the formation outside the insane sect was broken, they immediately rushed to the inner sect. When they found that the inner sect's formation was intact, they knew that there were still people inside. The leader sneered. He knew that the insane sect's bloodline, Boom. More than 30 false emperors bombarded the inner sect's grand formation, causing heaven and earth to shatter. The people of Emperor Abyss City knew that the Kuang Zong was in danger, but they were powerless to help and allowed him to attack. Si Wuxia and Li Jiucheng frowned as they watched more than 30 masters attacking the inner sect grand formation from afar. The inner sect's formation isn't the strongest. I'm afraid it won't be able to withstand their attacks for a long time. When the sect gate is broken, you should leave from the back, Li Jiucheng said in a low voice. Eldest senior brother, why are you so pessimistic? Let me find a chance to kill one of them first. Si Wuxia's aura was like that of an emperor, suppressing Li Jiuzhong so much that he didn't dare to blaspheme. He stomped to the bottom of the mountain and clenched his iron fists. Golden light shone, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. More than 30 fake emperors gathered and focused their attacks in one direction. They were not far apart and could attack or defend. When Si Wuxia appeared at the bottom of the mountain, all the fake emperors were excited. Si Wuxia's golden bloodline was their natural enemy, but if he replaced it with the golden battle blood, he would definitely be reborn. Li Jiucheng also followed. Seeing more than 30 strong enemies attacking the Kuang Zong, he couldn't help but worry about the current situation of the human race and the safety of the other people in the Kuang Zong. Quick, break the sect's grand formation and capture one of the golden bloodline. Then our mission will be completed. Boom, boom, boom. Every expert was giving their all, leaving no room for leeway. The grand formation was in danger. Si Wuxia clenched his iron fists. Although he knew it was very dangerous, he still didn't want to leave Li Jiucheng behind and leave alone. Light shone outside the Kuang Zong, and death qi shrouded the surroundings. The ancient massacre god was already gone. As long as the Kuang Zong was broken, the ancient massacre god would be unstoppable. The number 1 guardian force would be completely destroyed. Outside Emperor Abyss City, the dead spirit emperor had personally arrived. Even the great emperors of the human race couldn't go and help, and the boundary emperors couldn't leave either. They could only let the Kuang Zong be attacked. Gu Qingyu and Zi Tian joined forces to attack. The Tianwu battle sword was awakened, and the Qilin divine fist shattered the earth. The Kuang Zong's grand formation was shattered. More than 30 pseudo-emperors were not shocked, but happy. Half of them attacked the 2 pseudo-emperors who came to help, while the other half attacked Si Wuxia and Li Jiucheng. Die! Si Wuxia's blood qi was awakened. He suppressed the heavens and the death qi, and attacked the pseudo-emperor on the right. He didn't even look at the other pseudo-emperors. It was as if he didn't need to defend himself. Dragon subduing seal. Li Jiucheng stepped to the left of Si Wuxia and summoned the dragon subduing seal. It kept growing and his true yuan poured out. He crossed his legs and stabbed them into the ground, desperately blocking the attacks of more than 10 pseudo-emperors to buy time for Si Wuxia. Li Jiucheng's golden body collapsed, and his blood stained the ground. He didn't retreat an inch. The dragon subduing seal was like a heavenly sword that couldn't be broken. It blocked the attacks of 14 pseudo-emperors. Boom! Si Wuxia's power was monstrous. His fist was like lightning and no one could dodge. That pseudo-emperor was too arrogant and didn't want to dodge. He directly punched back. However, when his fist landed on Si Wuxia's fist, he realized how stupid he was. The powerful golden bloodline body shattered the pseudo-emperor's body, and the crazy golden battle blood qi destroyed the pseudo-emperor's life force. The golden bloodline became a scorching sun, burning the death qi. A pseudo-emperor couldn't even withstand a single attack. Ah! The pseudo-emperor screamed. His soul was quickly suppressed, and then he turned into a wisp of smoke and dissipated. Boom! Li Jiucheng's leg bones were broken. In order to buy time for Si Wuxia, he blocked the pseudo-emperor's joint attack. His body was flying backward, and Si Wuxia pulled back to help. The two of them controlled the dragon subduing seal together and kept retreating. Xiu, 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 Gu Qingyu was like a tiger in a pack of wolves. His battle sword was awakened, and the emperor's aura was vast and mighty. It suppressed the pseudo-emperor until he couldn't breathe. His sword pierced a pseudo-emperor's throat, and the emperor's sword destroyed his life force. Boom! Qilin divine fist burst out, and a pseudo-emperor's arm was broken. Gu Qingyu stabbed him with a sword. The two of them joined hands and suppressed the opponent. Suddenly, the sun and moon appeared in the sky at the same time, pressing down on the ground and destroying the death qi. Mu Yu Tianchen and Nangong Qingyue attacked. The two of them came out hand in hand, holding the sun in one hand and the silver moon in the other. They cut through the sky and attacked from the void. Die! Nye Tian attacked back, and the axe light cut through the mountains and rivers. His aura rushed out and smashed a pseudo-emperor away. Puchi, the Big Dipper star teleportation, crossed thousands of miles and appeared outside the Kuang sect. The golden dagger and short blade tore the head of a pseudo-emperor, and the long sword in his sleeve pierced through his body. A pseudo-emperor's undead spirit didn't even have time to struggle. Lin Aoqiong's sword moved in all directions, and his speed was unprecedented. He stopped a pseudo-emperor. Gudu Baiyin's huge sword towered into the sky, and he was domineering and fierce. He also stopped a pseudo-emperor. The experts of the Kuang sect returned one after another, and they quickly gained the upper hand in terms of numbers. Under the leadership of Qianlong Breaking Dawn, the top 10 experts of the Qianlong clan used the tyrant martial arts horizontal strike. Although they couldn't force a pseudo-emperor to retreat, they could stop a pseudo-emperor. Sikong Qingjun also came with his team. Most of them were pseudo-superclass experts. They couldn't defeat a pseudo-emperor individually, but together, they could stop a pseudo-emperor. The Kuang sect's advantage was obvious. Zhang Gu returned, and so did Jian Chenxue and Xia Ziluo. Xia Ziluo was the craziest. Her jade-like hands wrapped around the sky, and her palms kept forming hand seals, absorbing the spiritual qi within 1,000 miles. The 8 trigrams seal kept spinning to support her consumption of spiritual qi. It evolved into a huge hand that covered the sky and directly grabbed the neck of a pseudo-emperor. Crack! The pseudo-emperor's body was forcibly broken by her. With a press of the huge hand, she directly pressed the other party into the ground. His golden bones were broken, and his flesh and blood flew everywhere. Icebound 1,000 miles. Jian Chenxue only targeted a pseudo-emperor and instantly froze him. Zhang Gu pierced through the pseudo-emperor's body with his spear from behind, and it turned into countless ice particles. In just a few breaths, the Kuang sect was filled with experts who returned to help. The superclass and pseudo-superclass experts of the younger generation fought in groups of 3 to 5 or 30 to 1. The pseudo-emperor was beaten to the point that he couldn't resist at all. Several superclass experts directly killed the pseudo-emperor, especially Yen Yunbei. He came and went without a trace. His golden dagger axe and short blade were simply lethal weapons that killed with a single touch. His opponent had no chance to resist. Within 100 miles of the Kuang sect, they were surrounded. The battlefield was tragic. Countless experts were killed by the raging pseudo-emperors. First-class experts could only be considered as courting death. However, there were still people who came forward one after another, especially the myriad races. Their hatred for the dead had reached its peak. In the past great calamities, the human race was the first to suffer. This time, it was the myriad races who suffered heavy casualties. Even the Sage King clan was destroyed, let alone the other small clans. In the eastern wilderness, Yi Qinghan returned to the valley where the divine lotus was. The colorful snake's body had grown a lot. It swam around the divine lotus, and its 8-colored skin gradually evolved into 9-colored. Scales also appeared on its body to protect its vital parts. The divine lotus noticed the arrival of Yi Qinghan and the parrot. It swayed its lotus leaves as if it was welcoming them. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly, cupped his fists, and said, "Junior greets Senior Divine Lotus. Thank you for giving me the lotus seed last time and saving my spiritual pet this time. I will definitely repay your kindness in the future." The divine lotus emitted a divine light, and the great Tao precepts were attached to it. Its origin was out. No one knew how powerful this heaven-defying divine medicine would be once it proved its Tao. Perhaps it would become another 9-dragon sovereign. Colorful snake, come back with me. Don't disturb Senior's cultivation, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. The colorful snake reluctantly swam towards the lakeside. It constantly turned its head to bow to the divine lotus, expressing its gratitude for saving its life. The divine bird's eyes flickered as it pounced towards the divine lotus. It was extremely wretched as it said in a flattering tone, "Senior divine lotus, the divine bird's lotus seed is gone again. Can you give me some more?" The divine lotus swayed its lotus leaves as if refusing. The divine bird pitifully begged, "Just give me a little, just a little." The divine lotus could not stand the parrot's shamelessness. It could only summon a few dozen lotus seeds. Most of them were freshly born lotus seeds. They shone with divine light and were full of medicinal properties. The parrot immediately put them into its yin and yang ring. Then, it bowed and groveled, wishing it could kneel down before the divine lotus. Yi Qinghan smiled and bowed again to express his gratitude. Then, he retreated and charged towards the imperial domain with the divine beast. Chapter 358. Yi Qinghan was so anxious to return that he rushed to the center of the imperial domain without even asking about the ghost emperor's whereabouts. Screech! The god-slaying eagle was even faster now. It flew through the clouds, and the majestic imperial domain was suppressed by a strange heavenly might. The great Tao wailed. The parrot stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder, high-spirited and full of fighting spirit. The colorful snake shrunk and coiled around Yi Qinghan's thigh like a golden dragon. Its sharp eyes pierced through the void. It flew as fast as lightning and turned into a wisp of green smoke. In the center of the battlefield, the dead spirits were furious. They had waited bitterly for the ghost emperor for a month, but he was nowhere to be seen. That damned ghost emperor, where did he go? The void spirit, the arch roared. He was only left with a soul and was very weak. He didn't want to wait, but he had to. He was a soul and was weak to begin with. With the archdao fruit watching him, he would be the first to die once the battle started. In fact, the humans were even more puzzled. Where do you think Yi Qinghan tricked the ghost emperor to? He was able to stall for so long. The Six Disasters Azure Dragon said curiously as he looked at Di Shang and the others. Di Shang shrugged. He felt that Yi Qinghan must have taken control of the situation since the Ghost Emperor had not returned for so long. However, he didn't expect the Ghost Emperor to be half dead and hiding in the depths of the sea to recuperate. He wouldn't come out of seclusion for a few hundred years. When he came out, it would be good enough if Yi Qinghan didn't chase after him. The situation on the Kuang sect's side has stabilized. Once the dead spirits get rid of these 30 fake emperors, our thearchs will definitely win. The endless universe led by the Kuang sect can also suppress the ordinary dead spirits, Great Emperor Fusu said indifferently as he glanced at the Kuang sect thousands of miles away. The heroes of the Kuang sect were alarmed. The Kuang sect was too strong and had a feud with the Kuang sect. When the war ended, the Kuang sect and the Kuang sect would definitely fight. If Di Shang didn't choose a side, the Kuang sect would have no chance of winning. The Six Disasters Azure Dragon also didn't want the Kuang sect to grow to a point where they couldn't suppress them. After all, the people of the hidden families were incompatible with the endless universe. When they return, we can start the war before the Ghost Emperor returns. Let's do our best to cripple the undead. We'll take care of the human race in the future. Great Emperor Su Fu said in a low voice. Yes, sir. The three great emperors bowed slightly. Their respect for Great Emperor Fu Su came from the bottom of their hearts. After staying in the Forbidden Grounds for so long, Great Emperor Fu Su could still resist the desire to devour life force. His willpower was already unprecedented. At least, it was much more terrifying than those dead spirit emperors. Outside the crazed sect, the ground cracked, corpses were strewn everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. The younger generation fought against the fake emperors and suffered heavy casualties. The 10,000 clans suffered the most casualties. First-class masters and superclass cultivators were also severely injured. But in the end, not a single one of them managed to escape. This powerful suicide squad was wiped out. Not a single one of them managed to escape. Everyone's faces were brimming with joy, especially those from the insane sect. They realized that Stan Wuxia had transformed. His every move carried the aura of an emperor. His words and actions were impeccable. He was incomparably powerful. At the 9th tier of the Celestial Gate, he could fight against the young divine martial kings of the pseudo-superclass. The juniors of the crazy sect had also arrived from the rear. In the end, they were half a step behind and did not make it in time for the battle, but they broke the silence at the moment. What happened in the sovereign domain? Why isn't Master here? Stan Wuxia stared at everyone and asked in a low voice. It's a long story. Follow me to the Imperial Abyss City. You'll understand when you get there. Gu Qingyu then stepped into the Imperial Abyss City. Some people cleaned up the battlefield and buried the corpses. The insane sect was in a mess. Yi Qinghan sped over from the eastern barren territory. His robes fluttered in the wind and could be clearly seen from afar. At this moment, his aura was overwhelming. He had the demeanor of a young great emperor. At the early stage of the divine martial realm, his physical body and soul had both entered the divine martial realm. He could fight superclass cultivators with his physical body alone. Now, those superclass cultivators at the early stage of the divine martial realm were probably no match for Yi Qinghan. The multicolored snake returned to Yi Qinghan's body. This was his killing move. The multicolored snake could definitely bite a quasi-emperor to death in an instant. Even a great emperor would be severely injured. The fire crow also returned to his body. There was no need for the divine bird and the god-slaying eagle to hide. They broke through thousands of miles in an instant. Before anyone could react, Yi Qinghan had arrived in the sky above the Imperial Abyss City. Yi Qinghan is back. Where's the ghost emperor? Everyone was shocked. The human race, the dead spirit race, the myriad races, and the hidden aristocrats. The void spirit great emperor, the skull great emperor, and the other great emperors frowned. They looked at each other and stared at the divine bird on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Their hearts trembled. They felt that the ghost emperor's disappearance was related to it. When this divine bird moved, the ghost emperor's body collapsed. The seas dried up and the rocks crumbled. He surrendered but was suppressed by this divine bird. This kind of trash is not worth mentioning. The parrot looked at everyone's shocked expression and said proudly, "Impossible." The skull great emperor was furious. No matter how weak the ghost emperor was, he was still a great emperor who had not confirmed his Tao. How could he lose to Yi Qinghan and the parrot? He immediately berated, "Yi Qinghan, where is the ghost emperor? He's dead." "It's not like great emperors can't be killed," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Yi Qinghan spoke with certainty. Naturally, he wanted to attack the dead spirit great emperor's confidence and buy some time for the human race. He was determined to confirm his Tao. Once he confirmed his Tao and became a great emperor, he would be a true great emperor. These half-crippled great emperors were nothing in his eyes. Great Emperor Wake suppressing was surprised. Yi Qinghan didn't seem to be lying. Could it be that the ghost emperor was really dead? The Six Disasters Azure Dragon and Tianmu Xinglua's eyes flashed with surprise. They became vigilant. If they went to kill the ghost emperor, both sides would suffer at most. How did Yi Qinghan do it? The corner of Di Shang's mouth twitched. He secretly transmitted, "He's really dead? The ghost emperor is really dead? I don't know if he's dead or not, but he definitely won't be reborn in the next few hundred years," Yi Qinghan transmitted. Di Shang was overjoyed. Now that Yi Qinghan had returned, the human race's chances were even greater. The auras of the creatures in the endless universe increased greatly. The insane sect's prestige reached its peak. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and the violent heavy saber shone with golden light. It had been completely modified in the Mountain of Flames. It had reached the middle of the 8th grade and weighed hundreds of thousands of pounds. Just its strength alone could crush a divine martial expert. Rest tonight and adjust to peak condition. Tomorrow, the battle will begin. Great Emperor Wake suppressing ordered. "Yes, sir." All the creatures shouted in unison. This night was destined to be a sleepless one. The Skull Great Emperor and the Dead Spirit Great Emperor who rushed out later were unwilling. They no longer wanted to go back. They only wanted to completely occupy the monarch domain and the endless universe. However, the human race now had the advantage. With Yi Qinghan back, he was equivalent to an emperor for a short period of time. He could delay the Yinyang school's old monster while Tianmu and Xinglua escaped. Any emperor-level expert of the human race could quickly kill an undead spirit. As for the void spirit great emperor, he had lost his physical body and was equivalent to a piece of trash. He couldn't even compare to Tai Hua, an emperor-level Dao fruit. How long could he last? What do we do? The Skull Great Emperor frowned and asked, "Let's retreat. The current situation is not good for us, especially me. I'm locked in place by that emperor-level Dao fruit. I can't use my emperor-level strength at all. If we don't leave now, Hao Yue and I won't be the only ones dying. You guys won't be able to go back either," the Void Spirit Great Emperor said seriously. The Dead Spirit Great Emperor who came out last revealed a cruel smile and said hoarsely, "Even if I die outside today, I won't go back to be a captive pet." These emperors, other than Fu Su, haven't even passed the lightning tribulation. How can they be considered emperors? And those boundary emperors, they still want to preserve their lives. They can't even kill a divine martial realm ant. Why are they still alive? Let them all revive. If they dare to preserve their strength, I'll crush them with my own hands. The Skull Great Emperor and the Void Spirit Great Emperor didn't expect the other party to be so determined to fight with the human race. I'm the Abyss Emperor. Back then, I defeated the 8 Desolates universe in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. As a 9th layer boundary emperor, I dared to kill my way into the Forbidden Land. Now, a mere endless universe dares to be arrogant in front of me. A bunch of ants forced me to revive and kill them instantly. However, I can't make up for the loss of my life force. I don't want to waste my energy. The Green Great Emperor looked at Emperor Fu Su indifferently. He was the only one who was worthy of his attention. The Skull Great Emperor's eyes flashed as he asked hoarsely, "You must be the Abyss Emperor from the immemorial era. I've heard of your name for a long time. I didn't expect you to be hiding in the Forbidden Land. Are you all going to activate your life force and fight to the death?" The Void Spirit Great Emperor frowned and asked, If I don't activate my life force, wouldn't Hao Yue die anyway? At this time, I don't want to return to the Forbidden Land. I'll fight to the death. Either I return to my peak or I die here. There's nothing to talk about." The Skull Great Emperor snorted coldly. The Abyss Emperor nodded and agreed with the Skull Great Emperor's opinion. The Void Spirit Great Emperor smiled bitterly. If he had the Emperor physique, he might be able to fight. But if he didn't, how could he survive? Tai was Great Emperor Dao Fruit. Dao Friend Void Spirit, let's occupy a boundary Emperor physique first. Let's launch a surprise attack tonight. We'll use our peak strength and eliminate the human race's emperors. Leave Emperor Fu Su to me. The Abyss Emperor said indifferently. Tonight, the night was as dark as ink, pouring down from the sky. The stars were nowhere to be seen. Outside the Abyss Emperor, Emperor Fu Su's face was solemn. He knew that it wouldn't be so easy this time. Victory or defeat would be decided tonight. The endless universe couldn't afford to lose. Yi Qinghan was still adjusting his condition. The people of the insane sect gathered around, waiting for the battle to come. Yi Qinghan gave everyone a divine lotus seed. Even an outsider like Xia Ziluo got one. This wasn't the time to hide it. No one knew if they could survive the night. Boom! Thunder rumbled as lightning pierced through the ground, illuminating the Monarch region. Bones were everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. Monarch Abyss Emperor held a bone sword in his hand as he walked through the air. His Monarch aura was rising rapidly, and his peak Great Monarch battle prowess made the entire untainted land tremble. What? Emperor Fu Su's eyes shone brightly. He formed a seal with his palms and began to burn his life force. He wanted to fight to the death with his opponent. Chapter 359. Fu Su, I heard that you are very strong. Do you dare to fight me? Emperor Yuan said in a low voice. You dare to cause chaos in Yin and Yang and dye the sky with Emperor's blood. Great Emperor Fu Su stood up. His emperor robe fluttered in the wind as his vitality recovered to its peak. Divine light illuminated the imperial domain as the sun and moon appeared at the same time, tearing apart the darkness. What a good, cause chaos in yin and yang and dye the sky with Emperor's blood. Great Emperor Fu Su's boldness was hard to find. As expected of a great emperor. Unfortunately, you don't have the courage to achieve immortality. Great Emperor Yuan's eyes shone brightly as he still wanted Fu Su to betray him. If the mountains and rivers are not here, what's the use of my broken body? The land that nurtured me, I am willing to protect it with my life. Fu Su's hoarse voice caused the blood of thousands of people to boil as they were furious. Yi Qinghan's dragon blood was out of control as Great Emperor Fu Su mobilized it to its strongest combat power. Tai Hua sat on Yi Qinghan's shoulder with his legs around his neck as he glared at Great Emperor Su Ling. At this moment, the Great Emperor Su Ling's quasi-emperor Dao body was collapsing. It couldn't withstand his peak combat power at all. The might of a great emperor was not something that humans could resist. The skull Great Emperor's golden bones shone brightly as they overflowed with vitality. He looked coldly at Emperor Shang and the others. The old monster from the school of Yin and Yang Dongfei, smiled coldly. He could see that the other party was going all out, but he didn't plan to attack. He wanted to reap the benefits. Everyone from the school of Yin and Yang, don't move. Qilin Tianyu will be the vanguard and attack the right side of the human race. Yin Yang Dongfei said indifferently. Qilin Tianyu's expression changed. This was clearly using the Qilin clan as cannon fodder. You want to play this game with me? Although my clan has suffered heavy losses, it's not up to you to decide. Qilin Tianyu snorted coldly and turned to leave. He gathered the remaining experts of the Qilin clan and rushed towards the human race. Halfway through, he suddenly changed his route and fled towards the depths of the endless universe. Although Yin Yang Dongfei was furious, he couldn't give chase and could only let the Qilin clan leave. Boom! In the center of the imperial region, in the sky above Emperor Abyss City, divine light shot out in all directions. Golden light shattered the sky. Great Emperor Fusu formed hand seals, forcefully dragging the battlefield to the desolate era. The sky shattered and the firmament cracked. The auras of the three human emperors were no match for a true skull Great Emperor. They could only rely on Emperor Killer and the Six Disasters Azure Dragon to drag the skull Great Emperor into the Eldritch battlefield. Once the skull Great Emperor entered the Eldritch battlefield, the dead stars shattered and exploded. Blinding light shone from millions of Li Emperor's blood dyed the sky. Yin and Yang reversed. Great Emperor Su Fu had done it. Emperor's aura spread out. Blood splattered across the sky. The endless universe was shaking. Tianmu Xinglua led the remnants of his sect to confront Yin Yang Dongfei, but he didn't start the battle. At this moment he had to think about the aftermath of the battle, leaving himself a way out. Yin Yang Dongfei saw through his intentions and nodded slightly. He ordered the Yin Yang 8 tribes not to attack. However, he created a tense atmosphere so that the human race and the myriad races had nothing to say. Kanyang's mouth twitched. Master, it looks like I'm not needed here. I'll go to the front lines. Tian Mu and Xing Luo nodded slightly and didn't stop him. This could be considered as doing something for the human race. Outside Imperial Abyss City, the Void Spirit Great Emperor's aura suppressed the heavens. He only needed to guard against Tai Hua and no longer had any scruples. Everyone pressed towards Yi Qinghan, trying to kill him and the Great Emperor Dao Fruit on his shoulder. They wanted to separate him from the Void Spirit Great Emperor. Everyone from the arrogant sect pounced towards the dead spirits to make room for Yi Qinghan. He instantly transformed into armor. His wings flapped in the sky, stirring up the heavenly river. He reversed time and space, reset yin and yang, and regenerated order. Void Spirit Great Emperor, as a great emperor, how can you attack ordinary creatures? Yi Qinghan held berserk and stopped the Void Spirit Great Emperor. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Gu Qingyu held the Tianwu battle sword and stood in front of Yi Qinghan. Yan Yunbei held the golden dagger and short blade and stood in front of Yi Qinghan. The three of them formed an inverted triangle and relied on the law of space to step into the air. Heaven grasping. Boom. Xia Ziluo formed a seal with her palms. The 8 trigrams seal circled around her body. Purple chi came from the east and bathed outside Imperial Abyss City. The spiritual chi between heaven and earth was sucked dry by her alone. It gathered into a huge hand that covered the sky and shattered the order of the sky. The order of the sky was no longer there, and even the Void Spirit Great Emperor was shocked. What a powerful secret technique! What a strong body! The Void Spirit Great Emperor murmured. A wisp of wool gathered into a fist and punched at the huge hand with 30% of his strength. The Void Spirit Great Emperor could only use 30% of his strength. Otherwise, his Great Emperor Dao body would collapse and his soul would not be attacked by 3 or 4 juniors, but by a Great Emperor Dao fruit. Kill! Yi Qinghan was like a sharp sword that cut through the sky. The berserk saber that weighed hundreds of thousands of pounds fell from the sky and smashed into the Void Spirit Great Emperor. If the Void Spirit Great Emperor dared to resist, his body would definitely collapse. Whoosh! Gu Qingyu and Yan Yunbei attacked the Void Spirit Great Emperor from both sides. He had nowhere to hide. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The Void Spirit Great Emperor could only retreat. He did not dare to resist. His Dao body could not be destroyed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The sky was filled with afterimages. There were figures everywhere, tightly surrounding the Void Spirit Great Emperor. Boom! Golden daggers and short blades shot out cold light. The Emperor's sword cut through the sky, but the Void Spirit Great Emperor dodged it all. Humph! A bunch of ants dare to challenge a Great Emperor. The Void Spirit Great Emperor was furious. He was forced to retreat by a group of juniors. Taiwa sat on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. His fingertips trembled. He wanted to crush the person in front of him, but he did not have any strength. He could only deal with the soul because he was only a Great Emperor Dao fruit. I dare to dye the sky with Emperor blood. Order reorganization. Yi Qinghan roared. After transforming into armor, his cultivation level rose to the Great Perfection Divine Martial Realm. His speed was extremely fast, forcing the Void Spirit Great Emperor to dodge. 10% of my strength is enough to kill you all. The Void Spirit Great Emperor was cold. Emperor power poured out and wrapped around his golden body. After stabilizing his emperor body, he sneered and punched Yan Yunbei. He waved his hand and a black will appeared in the sky. The black light it shot out was like the reincarnation hell. Reincarnation mirror. Yan Yunbei gasped and shouted, "Don't let the reincarnation mirror's light touch you, or you will instantly turn into dust." Whoosh! Yan Yunbei directly entered the alternate space, not daring to move at all. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh! Gu Qingyu shattered the ground and rushed into the ground, disappearing without a trace. Purple chi from the east, 8 trigrams protection, hell map, open. Swoosh! Xia Ziluo activated 3 layers of defense. 8 trigrams appeared on her chest and chest, which could reflect all killer moves. The yellow spring map of hell was activated. The water of the yellow spring roared. Hell reincarnation death chi filled the sky. White bones poured out. She was not afraid of the Void Spirit Great Emperor at all. Hold your spirit. Boom. Crack. The big hand grabbed the Void Spirit Great Emperor again, giving Yi Qinghan a little bit of time. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned the divine bow. The azure dragon arm rose, and dragon blood erupted. The divine bow was pulled to 80% full, and the ground beneath his feet cracked. Using the berserk force as an arrow, Yi Qinghan's divine sense locked onto Emperor Su Ling, reincarnation light. The Void Spirit Great Emperor poured his emperor power into the reincarnation mirror. The dark light reversed like a black hole and rushed toward the big hand formed by Xia Ziluo. The big hand was instantly annihilated. Swoosh! The reincarnation light slashed from the void toward Xia Ziluo, ignoring the attack that was about to be launched. The yellow spring map of hell roared. The bones collided with the reincarnation light and turned into ashes. The water of the yellow spring was also suppressed and disappeared into the map. The yellow spring map shone brightly, drowning the reincarnation light and blocking the attack of the reincarnation mirror. Xia Ziluo was knocked back by the vast emperor power and coughed up blood. She desperately tried to block it. The yellow spring map of hell. It's in your hands. The Void Spirit Great Emperor was shocked. The reincarnation mirror and the yellow spring map of hell were both divine items of chaos. They were treasures that existed since the beginning of the world. Xia Ziluo had such a treasure, which was equivalent to being invincible. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan released the bowstring. Under Zhong Kuang's control, all laws surrendered. He broke through the sky and appeared in front of the Void Spirit Great Emperor in the next breath. The Void Spirit Great Emperor was so shocked that he forgot about Yi Qinghan. When he saw Zhong Kuang appear, it was too late to dodge. Gu Qingyu and Yan Yunbei attacked at the same time. One cut to the left and the other to the right. Boom! The Void Spirit Emperor held the reincarnation mirror in one hand and threw a punch at Zhong Kuang. However, he had underestimated Zhong Kuang and Yi Qinghan's strength. This attack had been strengthened by the divine bow by hundreds of times. How could the Void Spirit Emperor block the attack of hundreds of Yi Qinghans with just 10% of his strength? The Emperor's body collapsed and his soul was affected. Emperor blood dyed the sky. Yin and Yang reversed and order was reorganized. The reincarnation mirror in the Void Spirit Great Emperor's hand flashed and swept toward Yi Qinghan. The speed of light was incomparable. No matter how fast it was, it could not be faster than the reincarnation mirror. Be careful! Xia Ziluo wanted to help Yi Qinghan block it, but the reincarnation light had already engulfed Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was also stunned. His pupils shrank. He thought he was going to die, but the divine martial imperial codex and heavenly scripture of the Tao Si in his sea of consciousness moved. They used all their divine arts and kept brushing the space, trying to stop the reincarnation light. Boom! The reincarnation light was indestructible and ignored space. Other than the Yellow Springs diagram, other supreme treasures could not stop it at all. The reincarnation light rushed out of the space and engulfed the divine martial imperial codex and heavenly scripture of the Tao Si. The two supreme imperial weapons were turned into ashes. They only lasted for a breath's time. Yi Qinghan was enraged. The divine martial imperial code had always been with him and had saved him many times. But this time, it had been destroyed right in front of his eyes. How could he not be heartbroken? With a quick roll, he dodged the attack and shouted, "Catch him!" Boom! Tai Hua moved the moment the Void Spirit Emperor's body exploded. He grabbed his soul and stuck it on his neck. No matter how powerful the Void Spirit Emperor was, he couldn't resist and could only struggle to his death. Kill! The four experts pounced on the Void Spirit Emperor's soul. Yi Qinghan was bathed in flames. His dragon blood boiled. He waved his flaming hand and slashed at the void. Sky-severing hand. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, heaven and earth were separated, and a small part of the Void Spirit Emperor's soul was also cut off. His soul was tainted with an 8th-grade flame and was instantly ignited. Ah! The Void Spirit Emperor's shrill roar shook the clouds. Countless creatures were killed. The Quasi-Emperor dead spirits could not escape such an attack. They all coughed up blood and flew back. The outside of Emperor Abyss City was like the flames of hell. Everything was burning. Emperor Abyss City was divided into two. A terrifying crack swallowed Emperor Abyss City and countless creatures. Tianmu Xinglua and Yinyang Dongfei's pupils shrank. They looked in the direction of Emperor Abyss City and could not help but be shocked. Seeing the four experts crazily beating the captured Void Spirit Emperor, their eyes were vigilant. Chapter 360. The creatures in Emperor Abyss City were bleeding from their 7 orifices as they struggled to get up from the ground. They watched as Yi Qinghan ignited part of the Void Spirit Thearka's soul and slashed at the other part. The golden dagger and dagger could hurt souls, and the Tianwu battle sword was even sharper. The Netherworld Hell map was tearing at the Void Spirit Thearka's soul. Once the Void Spirit the Arch was pulled into the map, he wouldn't be able to escape. Screech! The god-slaying eagle rushed out of Yi Qinghan's body. It opened its mouth and tore apart part of the soul with its sharp claws before swallowing it. The colorful snake also rushed out. Its fangs could shatter fake emperor weapons, let alone souls. The parrot rushed out of the body and kept spitting out flames. Since the Void Spirit the Arch was being held by Tai Hua, he could only struggle and couldn't fight back. Ah! Void Spirit Great Emperor's screams grew weaker and weaker. His powerful soul was divided by so many divine beasts, half of it was devoured by the Hell of Yellow Springs diagram, half of it was burned by Yi Qinghan, and a part of it was erased by Gu Qingyu and Yan Yunbei. Just like that, the soul of a great emperor dissipated. The void spirit, the arch is dead. The endless universe will prosper. The heroes roared. They didn't care about their injuries anymore and started to fight back. Heaven's equal Monkey King turned into a golden body and killed one with one strike. No one could stop him. Even a boundary, the arch, would be sent flying a few thousand meters. Two divine dragons coiled in the sky. Di Longtian and Long Qiong's aura surged and suppressed the 10,000 spirits' divine technique. Si Wuxia was definitely the nemesis of dead spirits. His blood qi suppressed the death energy and burned the enemy's vitality. With Yi Qinghan's divine lotus seed, he broke through the 9 layers of the celestial gate and entered the divine martial realm. It was easy for him to kill people above his level. A fake emperor didn't seem so noble anymore. The human race didn't have any emperors, only boundary thearchs. There were very few fake emperors, but there were many super experts. In this battle, more than half of the super experts fell. The Kuang sect also sacrificed many people. Only a few elders were left. Sometimes, in such a battle, many people were lucky to not be wiped out. Go and support Kuang Zone. Lady Ziluo, you will accompany me to untainted land. Yi Qinghan's body trembled. Even now, he was still furious. The divine martial imperial codex had been shattered just like that, and the heavenly scroll of the Dao Si had disappeared just to save his life. This time, he didn't just owe his life, he owed the lives of the world. He wanted to complete the unfulfilled wish of the divine martial imperial code and completely destroy the forbidden grounds. Whoosh! Flapping its huge wings, it joined forces with Xia Ziluo and rushed towards the primitive universe. Half of the primitive universe was destroyed by the 2 peak great emperors. Huge stars exploded, and the qi rushed out for millions of miles, almost bringing disaster to the endless universe. The territories of the myriad races were affected by dozens of stars, and countless creatures died tragically. Angry roars and howls of grief gradually dissipated in the endless mountains and rivers. Apart from the great Dao rumbling and mourning for them, there was no one else who could help them. Tianmu Xingluo and Yinyang Dongfei gasped as they watched Yi Qinghan and Xia Ziluo leave. Their eyes were full of vigilance and shock. They had seen the fall of the Void Spirit Emperor with their own eyes, so they naturally knew that apart from Tai Hua, the 2 of them were the ones who really killed the Void Spirit Emperor in this battle. 2 juniors in the divine martial realm had actually killed the spirit of a great emperor. Even if it was a great emperor who had been suppressed by the Dao fruit of the great emperor, it would still take them some time to kill it. Daoist Xinglua, the Kuang sect, and the divine martial inheritance are mortal enemies. When the time comes, I hope you don't choose the wrong team. This Yi Qinghan must be eliminated. Yinyang Dongfei said in a low voice as he arrived and joined Tianmu Xingluo. My 3 disciples aren't bad either. It's hard to say who will be crowned as a great emperor. Besides, this great emperor might be able to reach the Dao ahead of time. All I lack now is the opportunity, Tianmu Xingluo said indifferently. Haha, brother Xingluo, you and I both know that our life force isn't enough to pass the tribulation. Once the great emperor tribulation comes, we'll be instantly killed unless we can get the divine medicine of life. But in this era, where would we get the medicine? Go to the forbidden area? We might be able to go in, but we won't be able to come out alive. Yinyang Dongfei laughed bitterly. They had entered the great emperor realm but didn't dare to pass the great emperor tribulation. Only they knew this kind of sorrow and sadness. Tianmu Xingluo was expressionless. He had never given up on his desire to reach the Dao. If it didn't work in the end, he was willing to pay any price, even if he became the next dead spirit. In the depths of the primitive universe, Great Emperor Fu Su and Great Emperor Yuan were fighting with their lives to kill each other. They could devour the life force and soul of a great emperor. Even if they won this battle beautifully, they would have enough life force to search for that illusory immortality. Divine abilities and Dao techniques covered the sky and earth. A sword could pierce through the stars. A hand that embraced the stars could pluck the stars, reverse yin and yang, and the great emperor's blood dyed the sky. The life force dissipated very quickly. Great Emperor Fu Su was like that, and so was Great Emperor Yuan. The battle between these two was truly a battle between great emperors. Even great emperors wouldn't be able to withstand the shockwaves. The stars were shattered, and everything within 1,000,000 miles was turned into ruins. They were both the strongest in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Now that they were fighting to the death, neither of them retreated. Only in their hands could the great emperor weapons be called great emperor weapons. In the hands of others, even great emperor-level experts like Emperor Killer couldn't unleash even 10,000th of their battle strength. A sword that could cut through the stars and extend for millions of li. The primitive universe trembled, and dozens of starfields were affected. Great Emperor Fu Su dared to reverse yin and yang, and the great emperor's blood dyed the sky. With a sword he stood proudly in the sky. His white robe was stained with blood, and he blocked Great Emperor Yuan from leaving. Is it worth it? Great Emperor Yuan asked indifferently. It's worth it. Great Emperor Fu Su was exhausted, and his voice was hoarse. His life force had been absorbed by the old monster in the depths of the Forbidden Grounds. Even if he was at his peak now, he only had less than 80% of his peak strength when he was young. However, Great Emperor Yuan was different. He was at his peak strength when he was young, and because he had swallowed a divine herb, it was very disadvantageous to fight him. You have less than 50% of your life force left, and I have more than 60% left. Even if you are the strongest in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, you are still not my match. After killing you, I can sweep through the myriad of worlds with just 10% of my battle strength. Then I will need more life force. If you don't want me to destroy the endless universe, then give up resisting. Give me your last life force. With half of your life force, I won't need to slaughter the common people for 1,000 years. Ha! Great Emperor Fu Su laughed bitterly. His roar shook the mountains and rivers, and spread into the sovereign domain. Thunder rumbled and the great Tao wailed. What a helpless laugh. Tens of millions of li away, the Skull Great Emperor was suppressing the 6 Calamity Azure Dragon and Dishang. Once the Skull Great Emperor unleashed his full power, they would not be on the same level. The Skull Great Emperor fought fiercely. At this moment, his desire for life force had reached an extreme. As long as he could devour the life force of these 2 great emperors, especially Dishang's. He had devoured the yin-yang flower, and his life force was rich. It was the best tonic for the undead. Kakik, submit. Once I break through the great emperor tribulation, I will be the king. Everyone in the world will be ants, even great emperors. Boom. The Skull Great Emperor's fist shattered the sky dome and landed on the 6 Calamity Azure Dragon's body. The Tao body was torn into pieces and blood dyed the blue sky. Even after smashing a huge star, it still couldn't stop him from losing. Reincarnation Sword Tao. Xiao Xiao Xiao. Dishang turned his body crazily, and merged with his sword, and attacked the Skull Great Emperor. A firefly dares to compete with the bright moon. Dragon Emperor Art. Roar. A huge bone dragon bared its fangs, wanting to devour the sky, and suppress Dishang. The sword in Dishang's hand shattered, and then the emperor's clothes cracked. His body crumbled, and his life force dissipated. Chaos Rebirth. The 6 Calamity Azure Dragon burned his life force, and his palms formed a seal. Runes of the great Tao danced in the sky, drowning the battlefield. Yin and yang reversed, and heaven and earth cracked. All order was collapsing, and the chaotic universe was being reconstructed. He pushed his palms forward, and attacked the bone dragon. The 2 great emperors' full-strength attacks could only match the Skull Great Emperor's peak attack. Their faces were pale, and they were forced to retreat. The Skull Great Emperor's battle bones were also dimming, and death chi filled the air. His life force was gone, and he was furious. He wanted to kill immediately, and just as he was about to use his full strength, a sharp arrow shot out from the periphery. It carried an 8th-grade flame, and with the great Tao of order and destruction, it pierced through the laws of space, and instantly arrived in front of him. Boom! The Skull Great Emperor punched the divine arrow, and the divine arrow shattered. He also took a step back, and the bones in his hand were ignited. However, he extinguished the fire in an instant. "Who's it? Get the hell out here!" The Skull Great Emperor shouted angrily, and he looked around coldly. He frowned when he realized that the arrow was shot from outside. Yi Qinghan was very fast, and he appeared not far away from the battlefield with Taiwa. Xia Ziluo also appeared with the Yellow Springs Hell map, and she looked at the Skull Great Emperor with hatred. The Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty was destroyed because of these dead spirits, and Xia Chintian was also sacrificed because of them. How could she not hate them? It's you. Where's Su Ling? The Skull Great Emperor was furious, and he had a bad feeling when he saw Taiwa here. He's dead too, go down and join him. Yi Qinghan was furious, and he drew his divine bow. His true essence poured out, and 9 arrows were shot out. Xiao Xiao showed at the 9 arrows shot out, and they merged into one in the void, forming a huge flaming arrow that shot towards the Skull Great Emperor. Sky grasping. Xia Ziluo used all of his power. The 8 trigrams on his body spun at a high speed. The primitive power was mobilized and turned into his own power. His handsome face was a bit distorted. He shouted hoarsely, "Go down there and apologize to the countless creatures of Sky Dragon Holy Dynasty and my father." Boom! The sky-covering hand pressed down from the sky, and the Yellow Springs Hell map shot towards the Skull Great Emperor. At this moment, she showed what the best defense was: offense. Why would he need to defend when he couldn't attack? Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon were excited. They had originally thought that they were going to die for sure, but they hadn't expected Yi Qinghan and Xia Ziluo to arrive first. They immediately erupted with power and pressed down on the Skull Great Emperor from all directions, giving Yi Qinghan no choice but to resist. Boom! The Skull Great Emperor was furious, and he smashed Xia Ziluo's attack with a punch. Then he charged towards Xia Ziluo, but the Yellow Springs Hell map blocked him. His punch seemed to have hit the sea, and it was powerless. Xia Ziluo's spiritual consciousness that was attached to the map was instantly destroyed. Pooed out a mouthful of essence. Blood spurted out like a blood sword, and Xia Ziluo fainted instantly. Her body fell into the void. Boom! The Skull Great Emperor suppressed Xia Ziluo, but he couldn't dodge Yi Qinghan's attack, so he took it head-on again. The divine arrow exploded, and Zhong Kuang suddenly shot out from the arrow, crashing into the Skull Great Emperor's fist. The iron arm made of dragon bones shattered, and the fist cracked. Chapter 361. The Skull Great Emperor screamed as he frantically channeled his monarch power to break the Great Emperor's body and shoot it into the depths of chaos. Yi Qinghan's divine sense was heavily injured. Although it was just a strand, it was enough to make him cough blood. Pooh! Yi Qinghan spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the Skull Great Emperor had suffered a series of heavy blows, and most of his bones had been crushed by Emperor Killer and the 6 Calamity Azure Dragon. His soul was on the verge of dissipating, and when he saw Taiwa's excited expression, his hair stood on end. Xiao, the Skull Great Emperor, immediately fled towards the Forbidden Grounds. Emperor descends. Boom! The 6 Disasters Azure Dragon expended its last bit of energy and slammed into the Skull Great Monarch's half-dead body, inflicting severe damage to its territorial sea. The Skull Great Monarch was left with only a small portion of his skeleton left. His soul was attached to the skeleton, and it instantly disappeared into the alternate dimension. Yi Qinghan couldn't chase after him. His divine sense was heavily injured, and with Xia Ziluo falling, he could only save her first. Xiao, Yi Qinghan flew away, flapping his wings as he shuttled through chaos. Xia Ziluo's purple dress fluttered in the wind. Her eyes were tightly shut as she fell into the void. Her hand was still holding onto the Yellow Springs Hell map as if it was her last hope. Yi Qinghan grabbed her and placed a divine lotus seed into her sea of consciousness. He also placed an elixir that could nourish the soul spirit into her mouth. Then he summoned the god-slaying eagle and sat cross-legged on it, quietly cultivating his divine senses. On the other side of the battlefield, Great Emperor Fu Su and Great Emperor Abyss fought until their hearts were in chaos. Although they were in the depths of chaos, they could clearly feel the danger in the depths. The shockwaves could shatter the stars and bring disaster to the lightning region. Great Emperor Fu Su knew that he had lost. His life force was less than 10%. However, 10% was a difference of heaven and earth to a true great emperor. There was no chance at all. Emperor Shang and 6 Disasters Azure Dragon had just reached the periphery when they were swept away by the shockwaves. The difference was too great. Take the elites and run. Run as far as you can. Great Emperor Fu Su cried as his life force was fading. Knowing that there was no hope of winning, he began to accumulate his last bit of energy and unleashed it crazily, forcing Great Emperor Abyss to retreat. Great Emperor! Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon were both Great Emperor Fu Su's juniors. At this moment, they were crying helplessly. Leave. There's no chance. Great Emperor Fu Su roared, and the last of his energy exploded in his sea of qi. He blew himself up, and the shockwave shattered countless star systems. The ancient universe shone with a light that affected the endless universe. He dared to throw yin and yang into chaos, daring to dye the heavens with the blood of emperors. Great Emperor Su Fu had done it, but the price was self-detonation. He had died a tragic death on the battlefield. If the mountains and rivers aren't here, what's the use of my broken body? The vicissitudes of life echoed in the universe, full of sadness and despair. The great emperor of a generation who bemoaned the heavens and pitted the fate of mankind had finally paid the price of self-destruction just to stop Emperor Yuan's footsteps. A solemn and stirring melody drifted over from the ancient times, drifting towards the boundless cosmos. Hearing this, tears fell. Heaven and earth rumbled. Divine light paved the way, and all methods emerged. Yi Qinghan suddenly looked up and could not hold back his tears. Great Emperor Fu Su had passed away just like that. Woo-woo-woo cries sounded in countless corners of the boundless cosmos. Many living beings covered their faces and wept, unable to control themselves. The shockwave swept Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon away. Just the shockwave alone was enough to shatter their Dao bodies and severely injure their souls. Emperor Yuan roared, and the monarch weapon in his hand exploded just to protect his last 10% chance of survival. It's over! Di Shang roared. He had paid the price of Great Emperor Fu Su's death, but he still could not kill Great Emperor Yuan. Was there any chance of survival in the boundless cosmos? Emperor Yuan's combat power was already heaven-defying. 10% of his strength was enough to defeat the great emperors. Moreover, Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon were already half dead. How could they have any strength left to fight against a great emperor like Emperor Yuan? Screech. Yi Qinghan did not care about repairing himself anymore. He directly ordered the god-slaying eagle to rush towards the monarch region. Yi Qinghan, take the elites and run. Take as many as you can. Leave some seeds for the human race. Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon looked at each other. They had already given up on the chance. If they ran, the myriad of living beings would not have the chance to escape. At this moment, they could only fight with Emperor Yuan and fight for Yi Qinghan's chance of survival. Yi Qinghan did not say anything. He rode the god-slaying eagle and rushed over. In the monarch region, the people of the Yin-Yang 8 tribes and the remnant sects heard Great Emperor Fu Su's final cry and knew that the human race had lost. They took their own people and fled, not caring about the myriad of living beings at all. Even Kanyang was abandoned. Outside the monarch region, the human race was furious. The myriad of living beings roared. Knowing that the human race and the myriad of living beings were finished, most of them gave up their lives and were willing to die together with the dead spirits in front of them. Instantly, light shone for 1,000 miles, and blood flowed like rivers. Kill as many as you can. Zetian roared and punched through a fake great emperor dead spirit. The last 30 or so quasi-emperors of the myriad of living beings and the human race were also killed. It was so tragic that the combat divisions were wiped out. Even the heavenly palace god of the ancient massacre gods died tragically on the spot. Lin Aoqiong died in battle, and so did Duga Badian. Xiao Yuni and Feng Sha both died on the spot. Those who truly survived were all existences that could become great emperors. However, at this moment, no one thought of becoming great emperors. They only thought of dying gloriously at the last moment. Many people fell 1 minute before dawn. However, when dawn arrived, the hope of the myriad of living beings was destroyed at dusk. The civilization that had been passed down for countless years was destroyed just like that. Screech! Yi Qinghan rushed over from the primordial world, but he did not stop. Instead, he passed through the monarch region and fled into the depths of the endless universe, shocking countless people. Yi Qinghan escaped? Damn Yi Qinghan! You traitor! Everyone was furious. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to escape at the last moment. He only brought his spiritual pet and Tai Hua. He did not even bring the rest of the Kuang sect, including his best brothers, Sikong Qingjun and Gu Qingyu. The people of the Kuang sect were also dumbfounded. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to abandon them and leave on the god-slaying eagle. Impossible! Master can't have escaped. Si Wuxia was furious. His golden battle blood erupted and suppressed everyone. The dead spirits around him were directly suppressed by him. Then what is he doing now? Don't tell me he will come back? Someone was dissatisfied and questioned angrily. He can't escape. Gu Qingyu said hoarsely. Even if he escapes, it's better than dying with us. Why are you still wasting your breath? There are only a few quasi-emperor dead spirits left. Everyone split them up. Even if we die, we must die standing. We must destroy these dead spirits. Chitian Monkey King was incomparably domineering. His staff swept across the sky, causing the earth to tremble. There were only a few geniuses who managed to kill their way out of this battle. Chitian Monkey King was one of them, and Long Qiong was slightly inferior. Boom! In the depths of the wilderness, Di Shang and Six Disasters Azure Dragon looked at each other. They knew that there was no more chance, so they killed their way into the depths of the wilderness without hesitation. 10% of the great emperor's power shook the clouds. Emperor Yuan's battle prowess was far greater than Emperor Su Ling's. He reached out his palm and attacked Emperor Shang and the Six Disasters Azure Dragon. Yin and Yang reversed, the sun and the moon cracked, and chaos restarted. Nothing could stop him. The two coughed out blood. Blood spurted out of their 7 orifices as they were sent flying. Run! Six Disasters Azure Dragon warned the God Watchtower. He wanted to leave a legacy for the God Ghost sect. In the center of the sovereign domain, there were less than 100 people left. The casualties were extremely tragic, but none of the dead spirits escaped. They were all wiped out. Kuang's sect had less than 15 people left, and they were all heavily injured. Retreat! Gu Qingyu looked into the depths, clenched his fist, and shouted. Xia Qiue's body was pierced, and her flame of life was extinguished. She was carried on Si Wuxia's back and began to retreat. Everyone from Kuang's sect had left. Long Qiong and Chitian Monkey King looked at each other and left in different directions. In the ancestral land of the human race, Yi Qinghan knelt on the ground with tears of blood. The human race is about to perish. I beg Emperor Tianwu to lend me the great emperor's corpse and help me fight. I will not retreat, and the dead spirits will kneel in front of the ancestral land forever. The divine light of the great emperor's formation fluctuated and soared up, illuminating the sky. The laws in the ancestral land were restless, and the great Tao wailed. The tombstones emitted terrifying great Tao runes. The ancestors of the human race were all buried here. They represented protection and would fight to the death. Emperor Tianwu's tombstone exploded, and the coffin exploded. The great emperor's aura made the dead spirits around him not dare to breathe. The great emperor's corpse floated up and stepped out of the barrier. A great emperor's corpse without a soul obviously had no battle strength, but the will was still there. It would fight to the death. I beg Emperor Tianwu to lend me the great emperor's corpse and help me kill the dead spirits. Yi Qinghan kowtowed again. Thinking of great Emperor Su's self-destruction and the divine martial imperial code's willingness to die to protect his life, he could not help but cry. Emperor Tianwu did not say anything. He only stood in front of Yi Qinghan and glared at the desolate land. Yi Qinghan raised his head and looked at Emperor Tianwu's corpse. Until now, the human race only had one complete great emperor's corpse. The human race's victory or defeat would depend on whether Yi Qinghan could control the great emperor's corpse and kill Emperor Yuan Huang. Yi Qinghan's soul had left his body and occupied Emperor Tianwu's corpse. His mental strength was vast and far surpassed his peers. However, when he entered Emperor Tianwu's consciousness, he understood that he could control the great emperor's corpse like a 3-year-old child. He could not use even a fraction of its power. He could not even control it. Ugh! Yi Qinghan roared unwillingly. His mental strength had reached its peak, but he could not even control a finger of the great emperor's corpse. The great emperor's consciousness was like an endless universe. No matter how strong one's mental strength was, it could not be stronger than a great emperor. The reason they could kill Emperor Su Ling and defeat the Skull Great Emperor was because of the great emperor's Tao fruit. It prevented them from using their full strength. Otherwise, how could a few juniors kill them? What should I do? Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. He had never felt so helpless. Even if the great emperor's corpse helped him, he could not use it. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan summoned the parrot and used all the divine lotus seeds. He set up a formation in his consciousness and strengthened his mental strength. Then, he turned into armor with the 4 divine beasts. His soul became one, and his mental strength increased dramatically. Boom! The great emperor's corpse moved. It crushed mountains and rivers with one step and charged into the desolate land. The great emperor's aura was dense, as if a great emperor had arrived personally. It alarmed the weak forces of the imperial region who were preparing to escape, as well as the experts who had survived the battle. There are still great emperors alive. There is still hope for the endless universe. Yan Yunbei roared, Chichen Monkey King roared, and Kuang Zong roared. The entire imperial region was in an uproar. Kuang Zong, gather outside the ancestral land of the human race. Protect my golden body. No one is allowed to come close. The great emperor spoke. His voice was slightly hoarse, and it shocked everyone. Chapter 362. Everyone looked at the Sky Martial Emperor's body in shock. Those from the insane sect trembled. It's Master! He's using the Emperor's corpse. Si Wuxia muttered. He was shocked speechless by Yi Qinghan's courage. It's Yi Qinghan. He can actually control the Emperor's corpse. His mental energy, the heavens chosen sucked in a breath of cold air, not knowing what to say. Let's return to the ancestral land. Yi Qinghan said and rushed towards the desolate land, wanting to help Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon. In the depths of the desolate land, Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon's body crumbled. Their vitality was absorbed by the powerful Emperor Yuan, causing them to crumble even more. A bunch of ants, yet you insist on fighting with this emperor. Today I'll bury you. Emperor Yuan's hands covered the sky, wrapping around the 2 powerful Emperor Realm experts. Unfortunately, those who had not verified their Tao were as weak as children in front of those who had verified their Tao. The 2 experts' legs were broken, and their vitality was rapidly dissipating. Their hair turned white and they were past their prime. On the other hand, Emperor Yuan became more and more courageous as he fought. He took the vitality of the 2 for his own use. In the blink of an eye, he recovered 10% of his vitality. With 20% of his strength at his peak, Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon struggled even more. They tried their best to resist, but their skin was rapidly aging, and they could not even counterattack. Yi Qinghan controlled the Emperor's corpse to travel hundreds of thousands of miles in a single step. He crossed half of the mountains and rivers from the sovereign domain, shattering the space. Seeing the scene in front of him, he could not care less. 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon Art 3rd Style, Heavenly Dragon 9 Rotation Style. The Emperor's body transformed into a true dragon, and it was extremely powerful. It turned the desolate land's power into its own. The heavenly dragon coiled in the sky, crushing a star, and tore the 3 powerful existences into the whirlpool. Great Emperor Abyss was shocked. He didn't expect the human race to have another crippled great emperor. He didn't even think about it and wanted to run away. No matter how crippled a great emperor was, He still had 30 to 40% of his strength. He only had 20% of his strength. There was no way he could fight back. It was just like when Great Emperor Fu Su fought against him. However, the tearing force was simply too powerful, making it impossible for him to move an inch. As for Emperor Killer and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon, they were sucked away by him. We can't let him complete his strongest attack. Emperor Yuan was horrified as he felt the aura of death descending upon him. His own life force was beginning to dissipate. He immediately clenched his iron fists and punched at the dragon's body, beginning his counterattack. The dragon head rushed out of the whirlpool and opened its mouth to roar. Its fangs broke through the shackles and rushed toward the Abyss Emperor. The monarch body of the Abyss Emperor was shattered, and his blood dyed the land red. His soul was shaken to the point that it was about to disperse. With a miserable shriek, his soul fell back with his broken body. The Emperor descends from the heavens. Suppress. Yi Qinghan changed his moves extremely quickly. His soul could not hold out for long. If he could not kill his opponent in a short period of time, he would not have another chance. Forming a seal with both of his palms, the monarch body used the Emperor's heavenly descent. Its power was dozens of times stronger than the 6 Calamities Azure Dragons. His palm pressed down on the broken Emperor Abyss, destroying everything in its path. The 6 Calamity Azure Dragon's Dao heart nearly collapsed. It only had 30% of its life force left. Together with Di Shang, it was swept tens of thousands of miles away from the battlefield by Yi Qinghan. As it looked at the center of the battlefield, it was speechless. It's the corpse of the Tianwu Emperor. Yi Qinghan used the monarch body. Di Shang coughed up blood and quickly confirmed the situation. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan's giant palm smashed into the body of the Abyss Emperor. His physical body was instantly shattered. His soul roared in anger, resounding through the heavenly river and the boundless universe. Sky-severing hand. The giant palm slashed down, trying to cut open the soul of the Abyss Emperor. However, he snatched it away in a sorry state. Prairie fire technique. Burning the heavens. 8th grade flames drowned the battlefield. Fire dragons roared, enveloping Yi Qinghan and the Abyss Emperor. The Abyss Emperor roared tragically. It was not easy for him to absorb more than half of the life force of Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon. It was almost certain that he would return to his peak strength. However, he did not expect another expert to appear and beat him back to his original state. His life force was less than 10%. You should die too. The Abyss Emperor was enraged. He tore the void apart and used the last bit of his strength to attack the Tianwu Emperor's physical body. The monarch body collapsed. Yi Qinghan rode on the broken monarch corpse and fell into the void. The space-time crack disappeared. The crack swallowed Yi Qinghan and the Abyss Emperor. The battlefield was dead silent. There was no longer any life force. Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon were stunned. They were speechless for a long time. Is dead. The 6 Calamities Azure Dragon murmured. Qinghan. Di Shang howled in grief as tears streamed down his face. Yi Qinghan had done him a great favor twice, and both times he had saved his life. He had also brought up Di Longtian when he was only 6 years old. Di Shang could only watch helplessly as Yi Qinghan was buried. The desolate wilderness was silent. It was a sad silence. Not even a speck of dust was left. Brother Di Shang, my condolences. The 6 Calamities Azure Dragon sighed. He did not feel good. When Yi Qinghan was still alive, he had to be on guard. But now that he was dead, his heart was filled with sorrow. Sai, let's go back. After this battle, the human race will be almost wiped out. Restwell. Di Shang smiled bitterly. He turned and left. His figure was filled with sorrow. The ancient killing god who had protected the human race for several eras was gone in the end. In the imperial domain, most of the experts were gathered in front of the ancestral land. Yi Qinghan's golden body was kneeling on the ground. No one touched it. Xia Ziluo was lying on the side. Taiwa looked helplessly at the crowd. Di Shang and the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon returned. Everyone was stunned. The two monarch-level experts were past their prime. Their vitality was fading. At most, they could live for another 100 years. But what about Yi Qinghan? They were back. Why didn't Yi Qinghan appear? Jian Chenshua looked at the two's expressions and had a bad feeling. He asked in a trembling voice, "Seniors, where is brother Qinghan?" Yan Yunbei, Gu Qingyu, and the others looked at the two. Di Shang said sadly. As soon as he finished speaking, the people of the insane sect could not help but cover their faces and cry. The insane sect was too tragic in this battle. Apart from a dozen people, all the protectors were sacrificed. Most of the juniors were also dead. Only Shaoli did not participate in the battle because he was too young. Si Wuxie and Huang Xiaohu did not die. Lin Wutian was seriously injured. His flame of life could be extinguished at any time. Apart from Zi Tian, Muyu Tianchen, Gu Qingyu, and Sikong Qingjun, the other superclass experts were all killed. Only Jin Yen was left in Sikong Qingjuan's battle team. Shen Ke was stunned on the spot. He could not accept this outcome. Kan Yang was also dumbfounded. Using the Emperor Corpse, he was so powerful. He actually died so heroically. Chitian Monkey King and Long Qiong looked at each other and shook their heads. When Yi Qinghan was young, the gap between their realms was too big. They could not fight. Now that their realms were about the same, they did not have the time to fight. Di Longtian's eyes were hazy with tears. He hugged Yi Qinghan's golden body and cried loudly. He had only recognized two people in his life. One was old and the other was Dao dissolving. He could not bear it. Si Wuxie was silent. He clenched his iron fists. After a long time, he roared, "Master, sooner or later, I will destroy the Forbidden Land and make it disappear in the endless universe." Shirgu was lonely. Back then, he followed Yi Qinghan to the imperial domain with Feng Wuxie. Now, only he was left. Feng Wuxie was gone. Yi Qinghan was also gone. Apart from crying, everyone was silent. "Bury him in the ancestral land. This is the glory he deserves," Di Shang said solemnly. Those who could be buried in the ancestral land were all great emperors and human sovereigns. They were all existences who had contributed greatly to the human race. Back then, when Di Shang faked his will to Dao dissolving, he was not buried in the ancestral land because he did not have the qualifications. Now, Yi Qinghan was buried in the ancestral land as a divine martial realm cultivator. This was definitely unprecedented. Today, all the dead spirits have come out, and the human race is about to be destroyed. Great Emperor Fu Su shed his blood for the human race, and he died in the untainted land. Yi Qinghan of the human race, in order to protect the human race, killed several great emperors, defeated one, and perished together with the dead spirit of great Emperor Yuan Huang. He saved the last hope of the human race and the endless universe. Although he is ranked in the divine martial realm, he has made contributions to the great emperor. Please open the enchantment of the ancestral land and welcome the hero. Farewell, martyr. The experts did not look at each other. They were all in unison. The dead were above all. Although Yi Qinghan was very young, how could he not be worthy of everyone kneeling on one knee to send him off? Yi Qinghan's golden body was buried in the ancestral land. Di Shang built a cenotaph for great Emperor Yuan Huang. The two tombstones looked at each other, engraving their achievements in this life. In the sovereign domain, snowflakes danced. Emperor Yuan Huang's city was razed to the ground. Corpses were piled up like mountains and blood flowed like rivers. It was like hell on earth. Di Shang and the 6 Disasters Azure Dragon gathered the remaining humans to clean up the battlefield. All the boundary emperors were sacrificed. There were no fake great emperors left. The divine martial realm was broken. Even the immortal sects had few survivors. Only Chitian Monkey King and Long Qiong left alone. They were so lonely. If there were great emperors among the 10,000 races, they would not have to fight so hard. The terrifying space-time storm instantly tore everything apart. The huge meteorites were annihilated and disappeared without a trace. Even though Yi Qinghan and Great Emperor Yuan Huang were swallowed by the space-time cracks, they glared at each other and attacked crazily. Their hands shattered the hurricane and slapped at each other. Terrifying true elemental energy and vast power rolled up. The hurricane in the boundless space erupted and drowned the two. Yi Qinghan had the support of the Tianwu Great Emperor's corpse, so he was still fine. However, Great Emperor Yuan Huang was already a spiritual body. His soul was instantly wiped out by the hurricane. His mournful roar could not penetrate the violent hurricane. Yi Qinghan swayed in the hurricane. Great Emperor's corpse was broken inch by inch. The eerie white bones could be seen clearly. His soul was hiding in the empty sea of consciousness. He and the 4 divine beasts were extremely shocked. "Fuck, Master, I am dead because of you." The parrot wanted to cry but had no tears. He howled in grief. Yi Qinghan was silent. Even if he died in this battle, he had no regrets. It was better than abandoning the Kuang sect and fleeing. "It is my honor to die in battle with Master. Although I can't reach the 9th grade, I am satisfied." The god-slaying eagle whispered. There was no trace of regret in its eyes. The multicolored snake was cold. Since it had signed a contract with Yi Qinghan's soul, there was nothing to say. As for the fire crow, it had no right to say anything. Swoosh, 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 Yi Qinghan kept controlling the Great Emperor's corpse to dodge. However, the hurricane was like a Great Emperor's weapon. It tore the Great Emperor's corpse apart easily. The Great Emperor's corpse could not feel anything. However, Yi Qinghan's soul could feel it. The tearing pain was unbearable. Chapter 363. Work with me. Let's see if we can find a way out and tear open space to leave this place. Yi Qinghan did not panic in the face of danger. The Tianwu Emperor's legs were torn apart by the hurricane and were completely destroyed. His sovereign blood was drowned and his mental power was at its peak. However, he still could not break through the hurricane and could not sense the space outside. Instead, his divine sense was heavily injured. "Ah!" Yi Qinghan screamed as he looked at the hurricane in the distance. Seeing that it was about to engulf this place, he no longer cared about where he would end up by tearing open space. He used his sovereign body to tear open a small crack and charged into another spacetime. No one knew if Yi Qinghan was tearing open a different space or a violent void. Even Yi Qinghan did not know. "Let's see how lucky I am." Yi Qinghan lost control of his body and his soul was extremely weak. As he traveled through space, he was swept up by the hurricane and his body was completely destroyed. The Tianwu Emperor's corpse disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan used his last bit of strength to enter another space. Space-time was dark. Yi Qinghan only had his soul left. He also fell unconscious and felt that he was rapidly falling. A trace of his divine sense floated down, but it was empty and could not reach the bottom. Yi Qinghan tried his best to not fall unconscious. At this time, if he fainted, his soul could be destroyed at any time. Coldwater Star seemed to be at the edge of the endless universe. However, the stars of the endless universe did not have this star. At least, Yi Qinghan had never heard of it. Below, experts were rampaging and young experts were fighting. There was someone who swept through everything and had the potential to prove his Tao. A young expert of the Immortal Gate Stage 9 was extremely powerful and invincible. He was not any weaker than Gu Qingyu back then. His physical body was also first-rate. He held a sharp sword in his hand and fought everywhere. Killing intent shot out in all directions as he approached the Demon Spirit Mountain. This was a huge battlefield where all living things could not escape the fate of war. Xue Chen was the name of this youth. He was a rogue cultivator whose name shook the world. He had the potential to prove his Tao. At this moment, he was stepping into the Demon Spirit Mountain battlefield. His eyes were bright like stars and he looked like jade. He did not show any fear. Whoosh, a quasi-emperor personally made a move, silently piercing Xiao Chen's throat. Then, the sword chi entered Xiao Chen's heart. An outstanding talent of a generation fell. This scene made everyone tremble in fear. Xue Chen had never imagined that the quasi-emperor would personally deal with him. Unfortunately, he was only a loose cultivator and did not have a powerful guardian. Otherwise, who knew if he could attain the Tao? Boom! Xue Chen's sword pierced into the mountain and fell to the ground. His eyes glared at the sky, unwilling to die just like that. The quasi-emperor sheathed his sword and left without even looking back. Yi Qinghan's soul took advantage of the situation and without any hesitation, he took over Xue Chen's corporeal body with the souls of the 4 divine beasts. Xue Chen's corporeal body was not completely dead, but Xue Chen's soul had already been annihilated. His sea of consciousness was empty. As soon as Yi Qinghan entered his sea of consciousness, he quickly occupied it and took control of it. The wood element automatically healed his wounded body, but his soul was exhausted and he fainted. The quasi-emperor's attack alarmed the experts in the demonic spirit battlefield. They all retreated from the battlefield and rushed toward Xue Chen's physical body. It's Xue Chen. Which quasi-emperor did he offend? He actually provoked a quasi-emperor to attack him. A powerful heavenly demon said in a deep voice. This is too much. If all quasi-emperors act like this, how can there be a Dao affirmation cultivator? A straightforward youth looked at Xue Chen's corpse and was very dissatisfied. If he has no background, he should be quiet and wait. Xue Chen is too strong. Sooner or later, he will be burned. More people were gloating, unwilling to speak for a corpse. A beautiful woman stepped on a snow butterfly and came over. Behind her were 2 beautiful girls. Her starry eyes scanned the experts and locked onto Xue Chen, who was lying on the ground. This woman was the young master of the Butterfly Valley, Qi Bingfei. She was blessed by the heavens and her cultivation had already reached the middle stage of the divine martial realm. She was absolutely invincible among her peers. Together with Xue Chen, Hua Rudong, and Xiao Tinghai, they were known as the 4 kings of the frigid water. Young master, it's Xue Chen. It seems like he's dead. The 2 girls bowed and said, bring him back and bury him. A cold light flashed in Qi Bingfei's eyes as she said coldly. Qi Bingfei stepped on the air and left. The snow butterfly was very fast. The 2 girls behind her carried Xue Chen's corpse and rushed into the distance. Yi Qinghan was dizzy at this moment. His soul had suffered great damage and had sunk into darkness. He could only feel that his body was being taken away, but he could not perceive the situation in the outside world. The wood origin profound repaired part of the wound on his throat and then rushed to his heart. The origin profound gathered and refined the heart. Once the heart was dead, the soul could no longer control the body and could only go out of the body to find a suitable body. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied with Xue Chen's body and was not willing to change it anymore. As time passed, the broken heart was almost completely repaired. The blood vessels could flow again. The powerful wood origin profound made the blood cells become active again and blood flowed into the heart. Thump, thump, thump. The weak heartbeat startled the 2 girls and they turned pale with fright. Young Valley Master, it seems like Xue Chen is still alive. The 2 girls said happily. Qi Bingfei abruptly turned around and looked at Yi Qinghan's face that was gradually regaining its color. She placed her finger on Yi Qinghan's pulse and felt a faint heartbeat, causing a trace of astonishment to appear on her calm face. A quasi-emperor had personally taken action, yet Yi Qinghan had managed to escape with his life. Whoosh! A snow-white elixir was injected into Xue Chen's body. A large amount of vitality combined with the wood origin profound quickly healed his injured body. Even his severely injured soul felt as if it was bathing in divine light. It was very comfortable. Yi Qinghan took the opportunity to recover his soul. Color gradually returned to his face. I'm so lucky. Someone actually helped me escape this disaster. Yi Qinghan finally regained the ability to think. He sent his divine sense into every corner of his knowledge sea. Xue Chen's soul had been completely wiped out. Not a single memory was left for Yi Qinghan. He had no idea who was helping him. Bring him back to Butterfly Valley. Don't tell anyone about this, Qi Bingfei said indifferently. Young Valley Master, Butterfly Valley does not allow men to enter. This has been the rule for generations. The 2 girls reminded her awkwardly. Rules are set by people. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I'll talk to Master. Qi Bingfei frowned and scolded softly. In Butterfly Valley, snow butterflies fluttered. The sky and water were the same color. There were green mountains and clear waters. Waterfalls fell from the sky. Dozens of huge palaces surrounded the valley. There were also small bridges and flowing water. Bamboo courtyards stood on the surface of the water. It was a magnificent sight. Send him to my illusory bamboo residence. I'll talk to Master, Qi Bingfei said and turned to walk toward a large hall in the valley. The two girls carried Yi Qinghan across the bamboo bridge and walked all the way to the bamboo courtyard in the center of the lake. They placed him in a side room. The room was very simple but had a classical beauty. A fragrance assailed the nose. Lotus flowers bloomed. The surroundings were lush and green. Willows hung down and swayed with the wind, creating layers of ripples. It was a magnificent sight. The girls left. Yi Qinghan's soul had recovered a little. He had also gained control of his body. With a slight movement of his fingertips, he could gradually move his entire body. He opened his eyes and looked at the simple room. He exhaled a turbid breath. The divine bird separated from his soul and appeared on the bed. It was almost unscathed. Master's luck is not bad. The environment here is quite good. It's a paradise, the parrot said proudly after escaping death. The god-slaying eagle was severely injured and was still unconscious in the sea of consciousness. The same was true for the fire crow. However, the colorful snake was the least injured. Yi Qinghan exhaled a turbid breath. His combat power was almost exhausted. If he did not have someone to protect him, he would not be able to survive in this unfamiliar environment. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He ignored the parrot and sat up slowly. His soul was torn apart by the tearing pain. His face was distorted and his bloody clothes emitted an unpleasant smell. He probed his divine sense into the Qingquan ring and found that Xue Chen's belongings were really pitiful. Other than a few clothes to change into, there was not even a decent treasure. To be able to reach the stage, his talent was definitely heaven-defying. Yi Qinghan took off his clothes and changed into a brand new set of purple robes. He sighed and said, "What a pity. The heavens are jealous of geniuses. Otherwise, even if you could not prove your Tao, you could still become an emperor-level existence." The parrot smiled embarrassedly and said flatteringly, "This is the body that the heavens prepared for you. However, this fellow actually offended a quasi-emperor. I'm afraid that our future days will not be easy." "It doesn't matter. A quasi-emperor is nothing in my eyes. With a colorful snake by my side, he can't do anything to me." Yi Qinghan revealed a cruel smile. Even if the other party did not make a move in the future, he would still seek justice for a genius like Xue Chen. Although the colorful snake was slightly injured, its combat power had increased. After devouring a portion of the Emperor's blood and a portion of the Void Spirit Emperor's soul, its bloodline power had evolved to the middle of grade 8. Its lethality had increased. The colorful snake is indeed not bad. However, with this divine bird by your side, I will destroy anyone who dares to harm a single hair on your head. The parrot was incomparably arrogant. It moved its little claws and summoned a black bronze mirror. The Emperor's runes flickered with an oppressive pressure. Yi Qinghan's brows trembled. He said hoarsely, "Reincarnation mirror? When did you get it? Put it away." The parrot smiled cheekily and put away the reincarnation mirror. "Hee, when you were beating up the Void Spirit Emperor, the reincarnation mirror fell. I took it with me. The Void Spirit Emperor died, but it did not resist. Perhaps it was intimidated by the might of the All-Beast Divine Emperor and was willing to submit." "Humph," Yi Qinghan snorted and got off the bed. He walked out of the bamboo door and met Qi Bingfei's eyes. "What a beautiful girl," the parrot said recklessly. "Shua." The colorful snake coiled around Yi Qinghan's waist and stuck out its forked tongue vigilantly. Qi Bingfei was so frightened that her expression changed drastically and she retreated. "Thank you for saving my life, fairy. I will do my best to repay you in the future." Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and said seriously. Qi Bingfei looked at the colorful snake. Her snow-white skin was covered in goosebumps as if she was very afraid of snakes. She retreated to the railing and shouted with a frown, "You are not Xue Chen. Or you?" Yi Qinghan looked at the beauty and his expression changed. He waved his hand and withdrew the colorful snake. He cupped his fists and said, "Sorry to offend you, fairy. I am Yi Qinghan. When I took over this body, the Xueqin you knew was already dead. His soul was wiped out by the raging fire sword Qi. He did not even have a trace of memory." Raging fire sword Qi? Yi Qinghan? Qi Bingfei clenched her fists. Her eyes were full of vigilance and a trace of killing intent flashed in them. Yi Qinghan took a step back and felt the killing intent. He immediately said, "Fairy, Xueqin's death has nothing to do with me. I only took over his body by chance. I hope you don't blame me." Chapter 364. Yi Qinghan and Qi Bingfei faced each other. Their auras were suppressed, and the multicolored snake coiled around him again. They did not dare to slack off at all. Yi Qinghan did not have any power to resist. Qi Bingfei stared coldly at Yi Qinghan and the multicolored snake. She had already unsheathed her sword. "Who are you? Why did you coincidentally occupy Xueqin's body?" Qi Bingfei asked cautiously. "I am Yi Qinghan from the sovereign domain. After experiencing a spatial storm, I lost my body, and my soul just so happened to fall here. May I know which star region of the endless universe this is? How far is it from the sovereign domain?" Yi Qinghan asked repeatedly. "Sovereign domain? Endless universe?" Qi Bingfei frowned, as if she had never heard of these two names. Yi Qinghan was astonished. It might not be a big deal if she had never heard of the sovereign domain, but how could she not have heard of the endless universe? This was the general name of the entire universe. Even the people of a small planet like the Xiaolong region had heard of it. This woman was already at the early stage of the divine martial realm. How could she not have heard of the endless universe? The parrot was even more astonished. It muttered, "Could it be that we have transmigrated to another universe? That's impossible. How come I have never heard of another universe?" Qi Bingfei saw that Yi Qinghan's expression did not seem to be fake. This little bird would not say such words. Only then did she believe that Yi Qinghan was not the one who had assassinated Xueqin. "Please leave Butterfly Valley," Qi Bingfei said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan looked at the woman in front of him and said hoarsely, "My divine sense has been severely injured, and I cannot fight anymore. Can you tell me the most basic situation of this planet? So that I can be mentally prepared." "Sorry, I do not know you. I do not trust you. You can choose to leave now or choose to die," Qi Bingfei said indifferently. The parrot rolled its eyes and sighed. "To think that I, a divine bird, can find all the treasures in the world. Today, I have fallen to the point of being expelled. Sigh, I am not afraid of a strong opponent. I am only afraid of a weak opponent." Qi Bingfei's jade-like eyebrows furrowed. She glared at the parrot with cold eyes. The entire Coldwater Star knew that she was a stunning and peerless beauty. She was extraordinarily intelligent, and her fighting prowess wasn't inferior to any hero. No one had ever dared to evaluate her like this. But today, she was despised by a little bird. "Little bird, since you're just a small bird with flat feathers, I won't bicker with you. If you dare to spout nonsense again, I'll pluck all your feathers," Qi Bingfei angrily rebuked. "This divine bird is not some little bird. I am the spirit-devouring divine eagle. There is no treasure in this world that can escape my eyes. Don't believe me? There's an ancient divine medicine hidden in the mountain behind your house. It's called the Green Mountain Snow Lotus. It's about to take human form, isn't it?" Qi Bingfei sucked in a breath of cold air and swallowed her saliva. She gripped her sword even tighter. "Looks like I have to kill you all," Qi Bingfei said coldly. "Yo, little lady, don't mess around. Do you know how we got here? Do you know what kind of earth-shattering thing this jade-like master of mine has done? Just by you? I'm afraid that little snake will swallow your head into its stomach and spit it out before you can do anything," the parrot threatened. Qi Bingfei remained silent and stared at Yi Qinghan. She couldn't see what was so special about him. The parrot saw her fear and immediately said, "My master killed 2 great emperors in a row. One of them fled, and the other got sucked into the space-time turbulence. That's how we ended up here. Although he's severely injured, it's still very easy for him to kill you. Fairy, don't take it to heart. This divine bird likes to exaggerate things. Although I did kill one great emperor, drive away the other, and perish together with the other, it wasn't all my credit. Most of it was the credit of others. I don't have any evil intentions. Moreover, Fairy saved my life. I'll definitely repay you in the future. Yi Qinghan smiled. One was playing the good cop, the other was playing the bad cop. His cooperation with the parrot was seamless. Qi Bingfei was really stunned. Qi Bingfei's mouth twitched. Her eyes were full of suspicion. She hadn't heard of the Imperial Region or the Endless Universe, but she should know what a great emperor was. If Fairy is willing to provide me with basic information and allow me to recuperate here for 10 days, I'll definitely repay you handsomely, Yi Qinghan said softly and bowed slightly. I can give you basic information, but you can't stay in Butterfly Valley. Butterfly Valley doesn't take in men, let alone someone of unknown origin like you. Qi Bingfei rejected Yi Qinghan's request without hesitation. Snap. Yi Qinghan snapped his fingers and signaled the parrot. The parrot was smart. It took out a divine lotus seed from its yin and yang ring. It shone with golden light and handed it to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan held the divine lotus seed in his hand and walked towards Qi Bingfei. He said softly, I trust you and am willing to entrust my life to you. If you want to kill me, you can do so with one strike. If you trust me, please accept this divine lotus seed and allow me to recuperate for a few days. Once my soul is 50% better, I'll leave immediately. Qi Bingfei's eyes flashed. She could see the value of the divine lotus seed in Yi Qinghan's hand. One divine lotus seed in exchange for 10 days of rent. This was definitely a worthwhile deal. The only thing she had to worry about was whether Yi Qinghan was in danger. But Yi Qinghan was too weak to even stand up to a gust of wind. One strike would take his life. Even the rainbow snake didn't have time to counterattack. This meant that Yi Qinghan didn't have any ill intentions. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to do such a thing. Qi Bingfei wanted to take the divine lotus seed, but the rainbow snake was wrapped around Yi Qinghan's waist. She didn't dare get close, but she didn't want to give up the divine lotus seed. She wanted to advance, but she didn't want to retreat. Her expression made the parrot laugh. It took the divine lotus seed into her hand and placed it in her hand. Little girl, cooperating with this divine bird will benefit you, the parrot said proudly. Watch your mouth. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Qi Bingfei scolded. Fine, fine, fine. Master needs to recover. Give me some pills and I'll take you on a treasure hunt. How about it? The parrot said wretchedly. Qi Bingfei was also stunned by the parrot. This bastard seemed to know everything. It was more shrewd than most people. It was like an old fox that had lived for tens of thousands of years. It was terrifyingly shrewd. This is the divine snow pill. It's most effective for soul injuries. It's an 8th grade pill. There are only 2 of them. It's not any less valuable than your divine lotus seed. Qi Bingfei motioned for the parrot to give the pills to Yi Qinghan. Then she said to the divine bird, since you can find the world's treasures, you have to compensate me double. The parrot flapped its wings and gave the pills to Yi Qinghan. It blinked its eyes to take credit. Then it turned and flew back to Qi Bingfei. It whispered, don't let anyone get close to my master. If he doesn't die, don't blame me for not warning you. Qi Bingfei snorted and glared at Yi Qinghan. Then she turned and left. Yi Qinghan returned to his room. He first cultivated for an hour. Then he swallowed a lotus seed and placed it in his sea of consciousness to nourish his soul. The rainbow snake coiled up on the bed and stared at the door. Even if a boundary emperor walked in unguarded, it would be difficult for him to escape death. When Qi Bingfei left the bamboo courtyard, she ordered 2 maids to guard the bamboo bridge. No one was allowed to come close. Then, Qi Bingfei brought the parrot and flew towards the demon spirit battlefield. The parrot kept chattering. Qi Bingfei did not know if it was trying to gather information or was deliberately talking nonsense. It spoke one sentence after another without any rhyme or reason. Qi Bingfei was speechless. Beauty, what's the name of your planet? Cold water planet. Beauty, do you never go out to the outside world? Why don't you know about the endless universe? Cold Water Planet is connected to the demon spirit battlefield. It's surrounded by nothingness. It has been cut off from the outside world for hundreds of thousands of years. It's natural that you don't know about the outside world. Beauty, how old are you? Do you have someone you like? What do you think of my master? He's 20 years old and has yet to marry. His cultivation is the same as yours. However, his battle prowess, it's not that this divine bird is looking down on you, but 10 of you wouldn't be able to withstand a single finger from him. Beauty, who's the strongest person on Cold Water Planet? Is there a great emperor? Beauty. Can't you shut up? The divine bird rolled its eyes and looked at the dark and gloomy demon spirit battlefield. It flew higher and higher and had a panoramic view of the demon spirit battlefield. Suddenly, its wings trembled and it almost fell down. Holy shit! How is this the demon spirit battlefield? This is the primordial purgatory. It's a hell that exiles traitors. There's no way out. It's over. This godforsaken place. Qi Bingfei was stunned. Ancient purgatory? She had never heard of this name before. What's the ancient purgatory? Qi Bingfei asked curiously. The parrot looked at Qi Bingfei's innocent face and shook its head. It did not want to tell her the truth. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to take it. Qi Bingfei gritted her teeth. She was actually being pulled by the nose by a little bird. This was simply unbearable. Are you sure you want to hear it? You'll regret it. The parrot said in a muffled voice. I won't regret it. If you don't say it, I'll make you regret it. Qi Bingfei said angrily. She had lost control of her emotions. The ancient purgatory is actually a prison, a place where criminals are exiled. Moreover, they are unforgivable criminals, traitors, and those who betrayed the universe. They are people who have sided with the undead and helped the evildoers. There are some powerful people whose crimes don't warrant death, and ordinary prisons can't hold them. An emperor and 2 great emperors opened up a separate space and exiled all of them here. There is very little life force here, and the environment is very harsh. It's not suitable for humans to live here, so it's better to just kill them. The parrot stared at Qi Bingfei and said seriously. This ancient purgatory originally didn't have any living creatures. There were only a few withered weeds. It was very dangerous. However, there were also many opportunities. There were many treasures that appeared in the primal chaos era. It was a place that the great emperors would definitely come to when they wanted to gain experience. Later, the great emperors and emperors emptied the surrounding space and turned it into a separate space. This is the ancient purgatory. Qi Bingfei seemed to have thought of something. Her body trembled and her face turned pale. The parrot bitterly smiled and continued, You're right. On this planet, everyone is a descendant of sinners. Even you are a descendant of traitors. Perhaps you don't understand what defectors mean, but I can tell you that the endless universe is made up of countless stars. Every star has countless living beings, especially the sovereign domain, which is vast and boundless with countless experts. But just a few days ago, almost all of them died. Trillions of living beings died because of undead spirits and defectors. Even great sovereigns and emperors couldn't escape death. They slaughtered without any scruples, plundering life, and bringing calamity to the common people. These are defectors. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.